All right, folks. Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to the Webster Conservation Commission meeting on this Monday, August 31st, in the Webster Town Hall Selectmen's Room, and I'm going to call this meeting to order at 5:34. All right, first things here, I just want to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded for public open meeting law purposes and note-taking. So just want to remind folks of that. And we're going to move on to old business here. The first item up here is the violation that has been ongoing at 0 Goddard Street, lots 1 and 2, DEP number 323-1197, known as 25A and 25B. We're going to need a continuance on that until 9/25. So with that, can I get a motion of continuance for 0 Goddard Street, lots 1 and 2 to 9/25?
I motion for a continuance for 0 Goddard Street, lots 1 and 2.
All right, Commissioner Jewell with the first. Do we have a second, please?
I'll second.
Commissioner Sharon with the second, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Okay, next item is the enforcement order on 90B Sutton Road. This is the Corville property, filled in and disturbed wetlands. This is continued from 7/24 of 23. We're going to need a continuance on that until, let's do 9/25 on that. And I need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we continue 90B Sutton till 9/25.
All right, Commissioner Parent with the first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Sharon with the second, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Next item here is the request for an extension of an enforcement order for 67 Colonial Road. This is the Arnold violation. Do we have any representatives for 67 Colonial Road at this time? All right, seeing no one's here yet, we will just bypass that item until a little bit later, see if anyone shows up. So the next item is a request from Glenn Kravosky, who is representing 71 R. Minebrook, the enforcement order from the Weatherby project, clearing in a wetland. This was continued from 7/24, requesting a continuance on that until 9/25. So can I get a motion for a continuance on that, please?
I motion we continue 71R Minebrook Road.
All right, Commissioner Jewell with the first, and do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Camerata with the second, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Okay, that is old business for now. Public meetings, request for determinations of applicability, also known as RDAs. Do we have a representative for 9 Wakefield Ave? This is the Gauger project, fixing a retaining wall in an area which would be under Chapter 91. Is anyone here as a representative of that property? And have we heard from Mr. Gauger?
I
Dawn?
have not. So I have called him and left messages the last 2 meetings. I have not received a return phone call or an email. I know he has both. So I have no new updates, how he's making out with the Chapter 91. He needed to go to Chapter 91 for the retaining wall, but he has not returned any.
Okay, all right, so seeing how we haven't heard anything from Mr. Gauger, and we don't have anything new to review, why don't we motion to continue this one until August 30th of 2023? Can I get a motion to continue 9 Wakefield Ave until August 30th?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Are we going to we're adding to the school agenda?
Oh, nope. Our meeting after that, Dawn?
September 11th.
September 11th. Yeah, let's do September 11th on that, and we should hopefully know. I'm sorry about that.
So can I just ask,
Yes.
where does this go if this doesn't continue?
Well, essentially, folks they've got the ability to continue things out as long as they want, or as long as they need to get the information. So, applications are good, I believe, for 1 year.
Yeah, but
So,
Is there an application?
yes. He has an RDA application before us, but he came, we talked about it, we told him that he needed to talk with Chapter 91 folks if he was in need of a Chapter 91 permit. That's what we're waiting for. Anyone else with questions on that?
How do we know that that's in process, that it's being done?
What's that? I'm sorry.
The process of Chapter 91, that he's doing what he should be doing.
It's up to Mr. Gauger to get that process. Under the Act, folks have to provide the burden of proof that they're not in a particular zone or adjacent wetland zone, which would be 91. So that's why we discussed it and ended up having him talk to Chapter 91, so. But Don will continue to communicate. He has communicated with us in the past. It is the summer, so.
Yes, because before any meeting, I always end up contacting people if I have not heard from them, looking for an update, see what their plans are, see if they've made any progress. And unfortunately, I just have not heard back from him.
Okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion to continue 9 Wakefield Ave till 9/11.
Okay. So we have a first motion from Commissioner Parent to continue Mr. Gauger's 9 Wakefield Ave to 9/11. Do we have a second? Second. All right, we have a second from Mr. Commissioner Camerata, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata? Yes. Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. All right, Six Beats Crossing, this is the Stelmack project, looking to put in a new patio at an existing beach area. This was continued from 7/24/23. And do we have representative for Six Bates Crossing Road? No, Six Bates Crossing.
Close.
67 Colonial Road has already gone by, so we're going to end up probably just putting you at the end of the meeting, okay? Just so you know. All right, so did we hear from Mr. Stelmack and know whether he...
So I heard from Mr. Stelmack a couple of times. Prior to the last meeting, I had contact with him looking for an update. He actually was a little confused. He thought at his previous meeting that you guys just totally dismissed his application. That was not the case. I sent him copies of the meeting minutes so he could relook at what the commission had instructed him to do. So he's kind of looking at what his options might be that would be acceptable to the commission. So I would say to continue that.
Yeah,
And
let's-
give him another few weeks to figure out his options.
Sure, yep. That was another Chapter 91 and filling in the floodplain and adjacent area, so
Yes.
he's probably got a little bit of work to do. So we're going to let's do a continuance to 9/11 on 6 Bates Crossing for the Stelmack project, please.
I'll make a motion that we continue 6 Bates Crossing to 9/11.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Parent with the first, Commissioner Jewell with the second, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata? Yes. Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon? And Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Okay, so next up, we've got 28 Laurelwood Drive. This is Jay and Stephanie Charbonneau, retaining walls, landscaping, and concrete pad. This was continued from 7/24/23. Do we have a representative for 28 Laurelwood Drive? Okay, would you please come forward? And I will just ask Dawn, Commission staff, to give us just an update as to where this application is.
So the Charbonneaus was in contact with me several times. Both them and myself was having trouble getting the topographic map that the commission wanted. Mass Mapper had some changes done on our side, and the way it pulls up when you put in this address, it distorts the whole thing. So this is their landscaper, who is very knowledgeable with the slopes and elevations, and they're on vacation this week, they had told the commission, so they sent their landscaper to represent them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a question of drainage, but the thing is we need to see a plan and not just a photograph with something just written on it. Okay. All right, so sir, why don't you take a seat, and if you wouldn't mind just hitting the button on there, so that green light on the microphone, and if you could just state your name for public meeting purposes.
What's that?
If you could just state your name, please.
Kevin Duquette?
Kevin who?
Duquette?
Kevin Duquette, okay. All right, so you're the landscaper for 28?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so why don't you take us through what's going on with the plan here?
Well, according to that, we're going to do the retaining walls, step retaining walls. That area that says sod area will become flat. And then I guess the question was about the slab for the shed. There's a downspout. The downspout drain comes out next to that. But the elevation changes 16 inches. I don't know. They had me bring these photos. It shows the downspout here,
Okay,
and the elevation for the cement slab for the shed proposal is 16 inches above that. So we're not even close to that. It's not going to change the flow of the water at all.
okay. Now, is the downspout going to stay in the same location, running all the way down? Is there any way to put that into a dry well rather than have it discharge out towards the lake?
Well, this is existing.
I understand that. But rather than have water flow towards the lake, the commission prefers that the water get into the ground.
Okay.
So I'm seeing an opportunity where you're going to be doing some work here. Might as well try to get that into the ground with a dry well. That would make sense to me, rather than having a pipe run underground.
Well,
And where's the wall?
It's
Where's,
existing, so I didn't think by not touching it, we needed to address it.
okay, so in this photograph that you're showing me, which we're seeing on the screen here, where is the wall going to end on that? Is the wall going to go right over that pipe?
So see the existing wall where the kayaks are?
Yes.
That's where the first retaining wall goes. Then there's a second one 3 feet back. So that area will be level to the base of the wall that's existing by the house.
Okay.
This is on the side yard. I don't know, did he give you any pictures of this? What do you?
I'm not sure what you're showing. Which one's that? That's a different picture than,
So, well, this one shows it a little better. See, this is the downspout drain? And we're nowhere near this area. All the work is being done to the left. So in this picture here, that cement sidewalk that she's showing you in the photo is here. So all the work is being done this way.
All right. So that current, let's call it a slab because it's not even really a retainer wall that's there,
Right.
are you taking that from an angle and are you going to have it go straight across the property or what, how?
Yes. It's right,
All right.
like it is in this picture. It's going to go straight across the front of that wall and curve into the banking on the left.
Okay. So, can we see the plan again, Don?
Yes.
All right, so the first wall is going to be 10 feet off of what's considered the lake shoreline?
Yes,
How did you determine the lake shoreline?
I didn't, that was him.
All right, because I'm going to consider this plan, like I'm looking at GIS here, and there's floodplain storage that is in this property, and what that is during times of immense amounts of rain, the lake needs compensatory storage for water.
Yep,
And in that corner on the left side there, you've got an area where, based on Mass GIS, which is the most up-to-date, it shows that you've got floodplain that comes up the property probably about, I'm going to tell you right now, about 12 feet. So with that wall there, you're already in a floodplain zone. So measurements, I think, need to be re-looked at here, and the wall should probably move a little bit further back. Now, I'm seeing beach area. What's going on with the beach area?
that's already existing.
Okay, but is there going to be sand brought in? What's the plan on that? Because when folks put in beach area on a plan, that usually means that they may be considering sand on there and so forth, and you can't add sand.
That's what's there right now.
Okay. So, but this is all going to end up getting torn up so that it can get obviously redone and look good. But what I'm telling you is, see how close that far corner is where the wall is?
Yep, that
That's the area on the map that shows that there's flood storage there. So some measurements need to really be mapped out here. And just so you know, in this general area, the mean high water mark, which is key for all the projects that we review, is about 480. And that's topographic. So this, in my opinion, I don't know how the board feels, this needs to be looked at again. And like I said, the pipe that takes water from roof runoff, is that what that pipe is?
The pipe is from the house, yes.
Okay,
The
but we
downspouts
don't
from
know
the
if
house.
we need to know if it's roof runoff. We don't know if it's, some folks, I don't know how old the house is, some folks could be, utilizing it to, discharge water from their basement, from a basement pump. If the water table's high in this area, I don't know. So I would recommend that investigating the pipe, find out where it's all tied in and what's coming out of it. But that pipe should probably be brought back up closer to the house and put into a dry well. That's number one recommendation. And then number two, we're going to need a little bit more than just photographs. We're probably going to need to see things staked out here. And Dawn's going to have to probably head on over there. Yeah, but, so was that stake, who put that stake there?
The homeowner put that stake there.
Okay, but,
So that's the 10-foot mark, and then the next one was, hold on.
but do we know if that factored in the compensatory storage for the lake? Because it's going to end up kicking it over. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you don't want to be skiing into Chapter 91 zone, which would be a state permit and all of that, just to put in some retaining walls in the backyard to
Well, yeah, he put that 10-foot stake in, but this end of the wall curves. I believe it was in the drawing.
Yeah, that one goes to 20 on the other side.
Right, so it curves.
yeah,
So that would be the closest point.
okay. But
The drawing is a little messy.
I'm seeing,
to follow it.
I'm seeing the closest point a bit over from where that stake is, based on the map. Because the way that this map is looking, it looks like this wall goes right into where those trees are, which would mean that that stake there really should be in the middle, should probably be about X amount of feet out, away from that area. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think that, in my opinion, some measurements here, and it really, really is crucial for us to have a topo and overlay this on a topo for us to be able to see.
That was what,
Yeah. We couldn't,
it couldn't be done by her or the homeowner.
I tried
Okay.
on Biomapper, I tried on, and I don't know why their property, I couldn't get it. I even tried again today.
It's a
I,
It's a fairly new construction. I'm talking a couple years, maybe 3 years?
this home,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know that.
I don't know, but I know in my opinion here, I wouldn't make a conclusive decision on this without knowing some more informational parameters here. Like, I'm sure that this was drawn, and I'm sure the homeowner did not know that they need to factor in FEMA flood. And that's something that we've been taking into consideration for a few years now. We have to protect the floodplain for the lake. And if you're in the floodplain for the lake, then you have to go for a 91 permit on what you're doing. So if we can help the homeowner and help you by moving the wall just a couple of feet so that you're out of that zone, the lake's got the amount of storage it needs down near the shoreline. But I would want to know from the homeowners, what's the plan for the beach area? There's all grass in there. Are they going to rake it all out? They're going to add sand? Like, I would need to,
Joey, I'm just going to add that you just got to restrict the beach area.
Yeah.
of that proposal, because it
Yeah.
just
Yeah, there's
infers,
an existing wall there.
Yeah.
We're not breaching that.
that's fine, just existing, but
Now-
don't, get rid of the beach concept, because
yeah, but I want confirmation from folks, like from a homeowner. Don, can you go back, just scroll a little bit further down? It doesn't even say on here how long the wall is,
I see.
and we should see property lines, should be marked out on a plan, because you're going to remember, this plan goes to, the final plan that we approve goes to DEP, and it's on file for us. So whatever we approve, you can't amend it afterwards without coming back before us and amending it. So that's why, we're not trying to be,
I'm at a loss right now because all that Jay told me when they left was that you guys had questions on that downspout drain.
we did have questions on the downspout drain, and I believe I mentioned a dry well last
Did you bring
time.
up all of this to him last time?
Yes.
Oh, so he never told me that.
Yeah. So, I would probably recommend that this is reviewed one more time with our staff and make sure that some modifications happen to this plan. Because the photographs are great for us to be able to look at this, but looking at, what's the current grade and what's the finished grade going to be. And you can go to ustopos.com or .org. You can go to US Topos and pull those up and just draw it out on there. And that way we can see the rise. And then in the details for the project, it will tell you, all right, the grade is going to change 3 feet. We're going to be digging down X amount of feet to put a block in, and we're going to start a wall that way. Because the other thing, too, is in here, does it talk about how the wall is going to be, what kind of footing is going to be in there?
Yeah.
It's
so
1 foot
forth.
of crushed stone and 1 block buried under grade.
Okay.
That's all Versalog.
Is that in the notes? Yeah. Okay.
I know there's a bunch of papers.
Which one do you want to see, Mr. Chairman?
The other thing too is, does it say in here that there's going to be, you need at least a 3 to 6 inch lip for the finished grade for the walls? So that's a standard that we have, so that when the sod goes in, you should have just a little bit of a lip on that wall
Below the cap,
below the cap. Yep,
correct?
yep.
Yeah.
Just so you know, granite landings. Now, the concrete pad was 20 feet from the shoreline. And looking at the way that the floodplain is, there's actually a bit more storage on that side where the pad is. So the pad may need to just slide a little bit
Okay,
towards what, in this graphic, probably would need to slide a little bit east so that it's up, just up gradient, just a little bit.
okay.
But those, I would recommend that those are all measured out, and, you know, Dawn might, you know, if she's gonna go back and take a look and see where the stakes are, then that would probably be best. Anyone else?
I think you had also asked for a sequence of events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
that
going to
was,
happen
that's
for,
listed.
Is that on the next one? Yep, project sequence. Okay,
I have that right here.
great. All right. So that, however the wall is going to adjust,
Yep,
and whether it's going to be kicked back a foot or two to make sure that you stay out of that flood zone and stay away from that flood, you should be 10 feet off of the flood zone line. Okay? And I would recommend that if that's going to be changed, adjust it in here. The other thing too is that first wall that's up near the house, is that the only one that's going to have a flower bed next to it, or is the one,
in between them, Will.
okay,
So
All right.
the wall's tiered.
okay,
We
yep,
have 6 feet of elevation.
okay,
We're gonna do 3 feet, 3-foot setback for a bed. And then another 3 feet of wall.
okay,
So it's double tiered.
yep. So the closest wall that's closest to the lake is not going to have any vegetation in it at all?
At the base, no.
No, okay.
No, it's going, do you have that picture with the kayaks again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
So everything I'm doing is going behind that existing concrete, whatever that is there. I have no idea what that is.
Yep,
This is fine.
all right. But if you can get the USGS topo, which those are free online, you can get that for this property. And you can pretty much overlay the project, and you can see, look for that 480 flood mark. And as long as you're 10 feet off of that, that's how it should adjust your project.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like I mentioned before, the downspout should go into a dry well instead of just discharging.
Just out of curiosity, how come that wasn't addressed with the builder? Like I said, this property's 2 to 3 years old.
Different board back then.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have the order of conditions in front of me for it, so I can more than likely guarantee that we talked about it and it probably just didn't get done, and that happens.
Like I said, this is my first time here. I know Jay's been here a few times.
once,
But, yeah.
Jay's been,
And, did you have a comment?
no, just the couple of those, just, I wish Jay was here because he was, he was a stand-up comic. I would say, they got a new thing out of Ruler to make it a little bit neater so we could read it. That's just a little bit sloppy,
Okay.
Yeah, so we need to know how far, how long this wall is going to be, how far it's going to curve up, and then the distance. You just need all the dimensions for the walls on here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then where you're going to put that catchment for whatever that pipe is. But I would make sure that it's not discharging anything except for roof runoff.
The level of the water, the 480, you can get that online, but if you put that, it makes it easier for us to see it. Because it's not that complicated project, the fact that we're not getting the
No, it's
information.
not, and
we're
you
not
guys
getting-
have seen this, right?
Yeah, yeah, but again, we need to know these things for the flood plan, the height of the wall, they sound like little things, but again, as we mentioned, all this is for the better, to keep the lake nice.
Yeah, I'm just curious, if you've seen this, how come you didn't say that to Jay when he's been here?
We did.
What changed? You did, so I'm,
The owner. Jay is the owner.
okay.
The other
Oh.
thing that should be on there, right, is
I'm
the
s-
spill kit in a storage.
And that's the other thing too, the plan needs to have a spill kit because you're gonna have equipment.
Yep.
So you need to have a spill kit. That's a
Yep.
requirement. We discussed all this from the last meeting. And you're gonna need straw wattle and silt fence
Right.
near the shoreline until
Silt fence
everything
with
is
straw bale,
stabilized.
yeah.
All of that needs to be on the plan.
Okay,
So the plan needs to be updated.
okay.
And then we should be able to, is there anything else so that when he comes back, we're not,
I think,
I think the key is, as Joe's referring to, is you have your lot line, you have your building, and then identify the wall and the topo, the high mark, and everything is standard that we're asking for.
Yeah.
and I would
Yeah,
make sure.
I'm lost here. This is my first time. I probably should have came with him. So,
no, it's fine, it's just
Yeah.
one more meeting and that would be it, as long as these things
So
are, like I said.
what I'd like to see is, where is that pipe on this map? Somehow have that designated so we can actually see that clearly. Once we understand what feeds that pipe, I'd like to have that on the map. And then this concrete pad, as I understand, is new, that upper one next to the house, right? So the reason why the downspouts came into play was because that pad now extends past the house. And so this is a problem because you're either going to drop right onto this pad, the water is just going to flow right off that pad, or you need to deal with it, right? So it's just put it in the ground. It's really not a big deal. You just need to be able to show a dry well. And then the only other thing I would say is just remove the term beach area because it implies beach, and I would just leave undisturbed and then show where all your controls are, that sort of thing.
And the important thing is how wide is this property, and the property lines need to be shown on here. That's actually a legal thing, and a north arrow. A north arrow has to be on there as well.
okay.
Not a real map, but a north arrow. So, and Dawn, I think you're feverishly capturing these items, so we can talk to Mr. and Mrs. Charbonneau about it, and Mr. Doucette's here, so if Dawn doesn't have your information and you're representing them, then that would be great if you just give her a business card or information.
Do we talk about how the wall was constructed, how's the side profile, so we understand that there's drainage going in behind the wall and down at the base of that wall? How is the wall being constructed?
Well, it's Versalock block, so there's 2 feet of crushed stone behind it.
Right, so if you had a side profile, just showing that.
Okay.
And then what's your base made of, right? Just a side profile, so it shows that you're understanding that we're keeping the water behind the wall and going into the ground.
Yep.
And that would just be a quick graphic to put together.
I'm an artist with my work, not on paper.
Yeah.
But we'll
That's
figure it
all
out.
All right, folks, anything else? Dawn, did you need anything else from?
No, I'll
Okay,
get the
great.
meeting minutes from Kelly.
All right, then with this, can we motion to continue this to 9/11, please?
I'll make a motion to continue 28 Laurelwood Drive to 9/11.
Okay, first is Commissioner Sheeran. Do we have a second?
Wait a second.
Commissioner Jewell is second, and roll call, please. Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sheeran?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Doucette, and, any questions or whatnot, please reach out to Dawn. All right? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. You too. All right, so the next one up here is 15 Point Pleasant Ave. This is a Keegan project, raising existing dwelling and constructing a new one. And it looks like we have Mr. Blasowitz in the house here as a representative, and I'm going to call on the board clerk to read the public notice, please.
In accordance with MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, a public meeting will be held on a request for determination of applicability filed by Edward Keegan to determine whether raising an existing dwelling and construct a new one at Point Pleasant Avenue in Webster, Mass., Assessor ID 48_A_66_0 is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and local wetland bylaw. The public meeting will be held in the Board of Selectmen Meeting Room, second floor, Webster Town Hall, 350 Main Street, Webster, Mass., on August 21st, 2023 at 5:30 PM. Any person interested in this application or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. For the Webster Conservation Commission, Don Portman, Conservation Agent.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Jewell, and I'm going to call on our board staff, Don Portman, to give us an update on the filing, please.
So I received this application, I reviewed it, I deemed it complete, I went out, took photos, and there's no reason this application should not be heard tonight.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Balsowitz, how have you been?
I've been well.
Great. I know, it's been a while. Glad to hear that. All right, take us through what is being proposed here.
My name is Stephen Balsovich. I work for PC Engineering and Survey Incorporated. I am representing 15 Point Pleasant Ave LLC. It is an existing garage, which is known as 15 Point Pleasant Ave, along with a garage that's located in the northerly corner of the property. Wetlands has been flagged as shown as CC flags 1 through 5. 20, the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer zones are shown on the plan. What they are planning to do is demolish the existing home and construct a new one in the same location, same footprint.
Okay,
Along with that, the garage would remain as labeled. They would like to connect the existing, the proposed dwelling to the garage as shown and add a third stall to the garage. We have straw wattles and silt fence encompassing the site. We show 2 dry wells, which there are details, I believe on sheet 2 of 3.
Yep.
We have one in the northerly corner and one in the southerly corner. Not that we're increasing runoff in that area. And as you can see, the corner, the northerly rear corner of the property intersects our 100-foot buffer zone. Have the spill kit that's shown on the site. Temporary stockpile area is in the southerly corner of the site. We show a construction entrance. If the board has any questions at this point, I'd like to entertain them.
Steve, anything, say beyond that spill kit? Is anything going to be happening in the backyard? Retaining wall, upgrading of stairs, anything like that?
If you look at the dark dashed line,
Yeah.
I'll be able to propose straw wattles and silt fence, and I also below it have it as limits of the ground.
Okay, all right. So there's going to be no vegetation disturbance?
It's all along.
Okay, well, I just didn't know if there were some trees that may not be.
If I drew a 95-foot wetland buffer, we'll be completely out of it.
One thing I want to ask is the limit of work in the erosion control barrier. Do you think it's far enough away from where the new dwelling is going to be so that we don't have folks taking down the erosion control and moving it on their own? Do you think it's going to be enough space for a machine to swing? Okay, all right. So spill kit's on there. Anything with fencing? Do they own the fencing? Are they going to be putting up new fences, anything like that? Well, I see some fencing. I'm just looking for the entire project scope, so,
On the right-hand side of the property, as you're standing on the road, looking at the lake,
okay,
the right-hand fence is a stockade fence, the left hand is a chain link fence, which are remaining.
okay, all right.
You're accessing, there's a tree on the right side of that picture, Don. Is that tree staying? It looks really close to the house. Far up on the side of the house. The right side?
Right, actually, right behind them.
Is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
As far as I know, the tree has been there, and the house has been there, and, they're not gonna be, usually when you disturb maybe a third of the root structure, you're gonna destroy the tree and die. We'd like to keep that tree.
Is the foundation being taken up, or are we keeping the foundation?
It's a stone foundation.
All right, so we're just pretty much taking the house, taking it off, and then building a new house on top, so, all right. That,
We haven't determined whether the foundation is sufficient, because it's a stone foundation, I believe. See the stone block.
okay,
I'm just going for new, same footprint, and that way we're covered.
now,
Till,
do you have a dry well plan for the back here? Because I'm seeing a downspout discharge that's got erosion central in the middle there. It's far enough away from the lake for the water to get into the ground, but, okay, so that'll shore up any kind of future erosion issues. If we're going to end up protecting these trees that are adjacent to the house, Steve, I would probably recommend that they get wrapped in orange fence, particularly the ones that are close to the house, so that machinery sees it and doesn't damage a tree, and you don't end up damaging machinery. So, and that can just be in the order of conditions, and then when Dawn goes out to take a look at everything. Did you have a comment, Dawn?
Mr. Chairman, this is an RDA, so I can put it into conditions, but not all.
Yeah, yeah. Commissioners, any other comments?
How far is the house, even on it's from the lake? How far is the house from the lake?
You can see that left rear corner, as you're standing in the road looking at the lake, the left corner is about 95.
Okay, so it's far, but at the same time, we're here to do our job. When the new house is built, what about the downspouts? Even though it's a distance, do you know what's going to be with the new house?
Two dry wells, one
Okay,
shown
all right.
in the right front corner, then again, as you're standing on the road looking at the lake. Sometimes people call their front yard.
He says, where did he get me?
Oh, yes.
I would say that standing on the road,
Yep.
we have a dry well proposed of 27 cubic feet on the left rear corner and one on the right front corner.
Okay,
So
All
I
right.
assume you're gonna make the pick and put the house on a low bed and just truck it off, and that shouldn't be a problem? I don't know.
No, they're gonna remove the house and have dumpsters.
Oh, okay,
Put it
thank
in
you,
the dumpsters. And if you read the sheet 3 of 3,
thank you.
you'll see the process that the dumpsters have to be there, covered, and stuff like that.
Thank you.
any plans for patio in the back? Okay. Of course, once everything's approved, if a patio they end up changing their mind, they want to do a patio, they want to remove block that looks like it's sort of failing near the water, they need to come before us, and they'll have to do a mod. Yeah, just end up doing another RDA, or it depends on what they're looking to do. you know, it can probably just be satisfied by a administrative approval.
I assure you that I met with my client.
Okay.
And this is what he wants, and that's what I drew.
All right. Commissioners, anything else on this? Pretty, I mean, simple, straightforward. Steve, you did a great job with the plan. Thank you very much.
You did, Steve, that was wonderful.
Nice plans, nice and neat.
All right.
The
So,
new house is the same size as the old house?
Any stories, 1, 2,
It's a bigger
you know, anything?
garage.
Yeah, okay. Just 1 or 2 stories, same? Yeah. So at one point, we might ask about the glass, but, okay.
seeing how, before I ask for motion here, folks, you're going to make sure that you appropriately size the dry wells to compensate for that additional third garage, because you've got a little more impervious there.
Those have been sized to capture 1 inch of rainfall off the roof, and when you do the computations, 27 cubic foot.
Okay.
Now, it can be 3 by 3 by 3,
Yep.
or it can be 4 by 2 by whatever the other distance is. But that's a void, actually, it's a void, there's a detail on the run sheet too.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, anything else on 15 Point Pleasant Ave?
Do they have a dock?
No planned dock?
He has 2 houses.
Okay,
This is Edward Keegan.
yeah, yeah. All right. So with that, hearing no more discussion from Commissioners, do we have a motion on this, please, for 15 Point Pleasant Ave?
A motion for a negative determination for 15 Point Pleasant Ave.
Okay, Commissioner Jewell with the first. Do we have a second, please?
Second?
All right, we've got Commissioner Camerata with the second, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell,
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata,
Yes.
Commissioner Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. All right. Thank you very much, Steve. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
All right, yes.
This
Some new-
project's too easy. It's too easy.
Yeah,
You lucked out.
I like the ones where they're 95 feet.
you know, Steve, I gotta tell you, your plans are getting better, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
All right, so next up here, 27 Bates Grove Road. This is Mr. Claybart's application for a seasonal dock and replacement of retaining wall. And Mr. Claybart, how are you?
Take 2.
Great. And on this one, because we are hearing for, I believe, the dock, I'm going to call on our board clerk, Commissioner Jewell, to read the public notice, please.
In accordance with MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, a public meeting will be held on a request for determination of applicability filed by Thomas Claybert to determine whether the seasonal dock and replacement of a retaining wall at 27 Bates Grove Road in Webster, Massachusetts, Assessor ID 38_A_29_0, is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and local wetland bylaw. The public meeting will be held in the Board of Selectmen's Meeting Room, second floor, Webster Town Hall, 350 Main Street, Webster, Mass. On August 21st, 2023 at 5:30 PM. Any person interested in this application or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. For the Webster Conservation Commission, Don Portman, Conservation Agent.
Okay, and I'm just going to ask our staff, Don Portman, to just give us an update on the status of the seasonal dock.
Okay, so Mr. Claybot submitted an application for an RDA application for Chapter 91 dock, but he also needs Chapter 91 for the wall,
Yes,
his retaining wall, which he already came to the commission.
yes.
So I also uploaded that additional information just in case the commission, I know some of the commissioners have changed. So he is here for just the Chapter 91 portion because the NOI has already been approved, but he needs to go to Chapter 91 for both.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Kleber, good to see you. So for some of the newer commissioners here, we did, as Don said, we did hear Mr. Klebart's Chapter 91. He obviously is in dire need of replacement of this wall. And then at the same time, we had talked about licensing the dock, seeing how he has to go through Chapter 91. So why don't I turn it over to you, Mr. Claybart, and let us know where you're at with everything, so.
If I may speak, Mr. Claybaugh,
Sure,
I drew the original plans to replace the wall.
yes,
We also, on those plans, and all the details for the dock, have the dock configuration in profile and plan view on the plans. And I had talked with him briefly prior to this meeting, and I asked him why he was here, because right now he can go to the state because he has the order of conditions that have been recorded in the courthouse, I think. I haven't.
Yeah, There.
from the last time we met, Steve, it was on the plan, but the proper filing for the newspaper for the actual dock itself and for the work, there's specific language that Chapter 91 requires, and I believe that was the mechanism and the piece that, once that has been listed in, in a newspaper, then we review the wetland area for wetlands. We figure out if there's any comments for Chapter 91, and then it goes off to them.
So when we were before this board with my plans, and you're saying that when you guys advertised, you didn't include the dock in your advertisement,
It's up to the applicant to file the proper filing for Chapter 91, because it's a really long one, and it's a large one. Yes, you have to do that. Even if you have even if you've got an NOI or an RDA, you have to, that notice needs to go in the newspaper, and then the Chapter 91 notice needs to go in the newspaper. And that came out of a meeting that we had back in February or January with Chapter 91. So this is satisfying the Chapter 91 legal notice. We'll review it. Excuse me?
My next step is to file the chapter.
Yep. Yes, so this here, we're reviewing everything here, and then he can then take and go to the state, because what the state's gonna look is that we discussed in the actual Chapter 91 itself, and the filing in the newspaper. So that's what they're looking for now, yes, they're getting pretty specific, because all of the great ponds across the state are getting a lot of filings now, so, and there's still not enough staff in Boston, but anyway.
Lakewood, City, Town of Shrewsbury, Town of Worcester mandate that you get a dock, even though it's not a great pond.
Yeah,
So you still have to go to the state.
but the difference is they have a lake commission, so, and that's a whole other different ball of wax. Anyway, thank you for that information, Steve, I appreciate it.
That is engineering.
Okay, wonderful.
I also submitted a recommendation on the RDA that they,
Terrific.
and I have requirements that I need to send out to chapter 91.
Okay.
Plan view, which shows the retaining wall where that's going to go, and it also shows the existing dock, and the dock has been there, I want to say, since 1980. I don't know for sure because
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And as commissioners can see from photographs here that Don has been showing for the public, it's in dire need of replacement, so.
Did you pick that one? You have you have half open there?
I can't,
You have it half open, you just,
Yeah, we just want to see the plan. Don.
Yeah, yeah,
There we
thank
go.
you.
Thank you. So this is the area, and of course, you can see the area that needs to be replaced. From discussion before, I don't believe you were looking to expand. You're just looking to replace exactly what's there, correct? Okay.
Placed in kind, or is there a different type of material?
Well, I'm gonna take the railroad ties down, we're gonna remove those, and what I want to replace that with is a stone wall. Actually, it's not a big wall, it's gonna be a 45-degree angle, and what I'd like to do is move those sands so we can go to the 45-degree, and I'd like to put flat stones on top of that, large flat stones on top of that. Tree that's there, we'd like to keep that because it
The shade.
goes out,
Yeah.
over the lake and
Yeah.
provides a lot of shade. I don't know if we'll be able to take that down. Other than that, it's the
Okay.
I should know this, but what is the wall going to be made out of? What do you, yeah, rock. Okay. Rock and cement or just rock? No, okay, you're doing that one, okay.
do you have a side profile on this, Doc? I can't
Hold
seem
on.
to find it on the, yeah, okay. So
Okay.
this is attaching to the top of that wall. That's how it's,
that wall would be,
I mean, the dock is on top of the wall.
right now, the dog is on top of the retaining wall, and the bolts that hold in place, and my plan is to cement block, or concrete block, and have that sit on bolts.
Okay.
So if I understood you right, sir, the wall's gonna be battered 45 degrees?
Which with the wave action that we've been seeing, as you know, it's definitely a smart idea to do almost a revetment like that. So we've got 34 feet in length, 5 feet deep, which meets that requirement. The area that we're really reviewing is the wall area, and it's already previously disturbed. It's going to be replaced in kind with, as Mr. Claybert had mentioned, stone. The process to do this, Mr. Claybert, is I'm going to recommend that, I don't know who you've hired or what their expertise is, but because where your property is and the way that at some point it had been filled in to give you that area, you're in floodplain, which is what's tripped Chapter 91, but it's going to need to probably have a cofferdam around it or sandbagged. Yeah, so I just wanted to express that, so if anyone's trying to do the work without trying to keep the water at bay. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So, but I can't express that enough, that whoever does this needs to know how to sandbag it or cofferdam it off. And then I would recommend a turbidity curtain just after that, just in case there are silts that get kicked up because you're going to be digging out what was there. And Dawn can get you that information once, once this public meeting is closed. So with that, can we just look at the top view one more time, Dawn? Square footage was, I think, 100. Did I see square footage on here?
Yeah, it's on the dock.
yeah.
136? Okay, fantastic. All right. One other thing, Mr. Claybert, I would just let us know if that tree needs to come down.
Okay.
knock on wood that it doesn't have to, but just let us know.
His wife won't let him take it down.
So, commissioners,
It is.
yeah.
It does. It's nice, yeah.
Any other questions or comments on this project? We've already got the NOI with, which was was detailed, so this is just a review of the interface here and what's going to happen.
You're gonna have a party when it's done? What a saga you've had.
Take a railroad tie home with you? All right.
This goes on almost 2 years with all the, and none of it was your fault. It was all Fulpers.
Okay.
I didn't build it. I think I would have built a retaining wall on the lake.
Okay, so, and then just one last thing is that finished grade, you're just going to need that 3-inch lip at the end. You're just going to need that 3-inch lip for the finished grade of it, so when the wall comes up, probably the capper stone, we'll just create a 3-inch lip, and that's for any runoff that comes across, it'll just stop it, most of it, and allow it to perk. So the finished grade, for whoever's doing your wall, they just need to make sure it's 3 inches. So with that, any questions for us? Okay. Do we have a motion here, folks? Any other discussion? Okay, can we get a motion for 27 Bates Grove Road, Thomas Claybart's seasonal dock and retaining wall, Chapter 91?
I motion for a negative determination for this 27 Bates Grove Road, seasonal dock and replacement of a retaining wall.
Okay, and that was a negative determination? All right, negative determination. Commissioner Jewell, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Camerata with the second, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes?
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. All right. Mr. Claybart, thank you very much. Good seeing you. Good luck with everything, and if you need anything, please reach out to the office. All right, thank you. All right, so, all right, take care. All right, folks, so next up, we have 25 Colonial Road. This is Brian Bohenko, building an addition with a carport. This is a new review for us. How we doing? All right, good. So I'm going to call on our board clerk, Commissioner Jewell, to read the public notice for 25 Colonial Road, please. And if I could just ask Mr. Bohenko, can you just hit the button on that? Yeah, thank you. And go ahead, Robin.
In accordance with MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, a public meeting will be held on a request for determination of applicability filed by Brian Bohenko to determine whether the addition with a carport at 25 Colonial Road in Webster, Mass. Assessor ID 39_A_33_0 is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and local wetland bylaw. The public meeting will be held in the Board of Select Meeting Room, second floor, Webster Town Hall, 350 Main Street, Webster, Mass. On August 21st, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Any person interested in this application or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. For the Webster Conservation Commission, Don Portman, Conservation Agent.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jewell, and Don Portman, our staff. Can you give us an update on the application, please?
Mr. Bianco came in a few times, asked questions, wanted to file an RDA application for this project. He ended up submitting the project. I went out, I took pictures for the commission, and there's no reason why this project should not be seen.
Okay, thank you, Don. Brian Bohenko, how you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good, all right. Why don't you take us through what you're looking to do here?
I am putting on a 12 by 26 addition with a carport attached to that.
Okay. And this is going to attach to the house?
Correct.
So It's going to be in this, towards the front of the dwelling?
All on the front. Yep.
Okay. All right in there? Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it going to, how far away from the water are we with here?
They're about 76 feet from the water.
Okay. All right, and,
Have to put a swaddle up.
okay. All right, so I see the road
Oh, sorry.
and, okay, so you're gonna bump out 39 feet over and then extend it so that, is it gonna be flush with that other point? Oh, it says 11 and a half feet from the road?
Yep.
Okay. Now, the additional impervious on adding this addition, is it enclosed carport? Yeah?
No, it's open.
Okay, so it's gonna be open, okay. All right, because I'm just seeing a window, like windows in the back here, so. I just didn't know if they were gonna, if there's rooms that are gonna be on the back of it, or. Okay. For roof runoff, how are you capturing the roof runoff?
The runoff,
Yeah,
it's just like it is now.
okay,
We don't even have any gutters, nothing,
okay,
never had.
all right. Are you gonna put gutters on here?
No,
All right. If you're not gonna do gutters on here, probably what I would recommend is a drip, probably crushed stone drip line right down the side of the house.
oh, they already did that with our last addition.
Okay. All right,
They put the pipe in, everything, and then it went to like a shallow well or something like that, that perforated pipe.
okay. So is the pipe
That would
on the
be-
plan?
No, the other side was the other addition. See where it goes down like this?
So,
That pipe is right at the end of that roof line right there, and it went all the way around. Because we didn't put gutters on that either.
I'm not seeing where there's,
Right there. See that? That was the addition when we first bought it.
okay,
So they put some kind of drainage in there. I don't know exactly what it was, but I know it was, what, the bottom is closed and the top of the pipes, it's got all the holes in it.
yeah, it's like a French perimeter drain.
Yes.
That's what was in there, yeah,
Yeah,
so
and then it went
that's,
to a little rock area.
yeah, see how, like, this is actually a perfect shot because see how wet your foundation is there?
Yep,
If you put in like 2 feet of crushed stone,
yep,
about a foot down,
yep.
when you put you're coming this way with the addition, correct?
Not over, yeah, towards the road.
Okay, so that would help alleviate and dissipate that water energy that's coming off your roof. And it'll help that splash effect onto, because you don't want to, I mean, after a while, you don't want your foundation to get like that. It's going to end up making your basement have an odor and whatnot, yeah,
Probably should
so,
have put gutters up.
so,
It
But-
does make the siding all dirty and everything like that, because
yeah,
water
yeah.
pounds.
So, they even sell these types of, it's almost like a gutter lip now where it actually slows the water down
Yep,
and it allows the water to come through it. But I'll be honest with you, I mean, if you're gonna be spending the money on an addition, you're far enough away from the water, from the lake.
yep,
But the thing is, we don't, kind of like you've heard in other projects, we can't have water discharging towards the lake. The
Yeah.
best thing to do is get it in the ground.
okay.
So you could slice this one of two ways, stick a gutter on it, and then capture it, get it into, a downspout, and then just have, with the amount of area you got there,
Yep,
probably just a crushed stone splash pad, or you can just do a dry well. But trying to get the water in the ground instead of hitting that lawn and splashing up on your house. you know? I mean, that would be best case scenario for you.
Yep.
Now, there's obviously going to be grading and everything that goes on, that's going to be going on here.
I believe, he said the grade isn't going to change. It's just gonna be just like that. The foundation will be dug and it's gonna go
Okay,
carport and everything, it'll just meet up.
all right. Does the plan have the erosion controls on it?
No.
All right, because the plan's going to have erosion controls on it. The plan's going to have a spill kit if you got machinery there. And we're going to need to see how you're going to control that water. So that all needs to be on the plan. Do you have are you doing the work yourself, or are you having somebody do this?
Somebody do it.
Okay. Because those things are paramount, and like I had mentioned to some folks earlier, like, once we approve a project, the plan is submitted, that's the plan. And if we've got an incomplete plan, that's opening a can of worms for anyone to just go and do what they want. So we need to, exactly what's going to happen for the project needs to be on that plan.
So that should have been on the blueprints that I had drawn and all that stuff?
Do we have, well, sure, you can come up if you want.
It had,
But he did a step-by-step, and I do know the guy that's doing the conservation and wildering, he does a lot on the lake.
Yeah.
So even though we're far enough away, he already planned on doing the sod, the silk fence, just to block anything regardless.
Yeah.
And the spill kit, he would be without a doubt, because I know he's helped Doug Lavelle with some of his projects, so they're very aware of.
There's plenty of the spill kits that are floating around town, and people have been borrowing them from here, using them here, buying and selling them around town, because we require it in town now. We've been requiring it for a few years. So can we see the actual plan that we have, Don?
I think they have the foundation and all that. Did they put
No. Well, they had,
that would have been it right there with the
Yeah.
the last one.
Yeah.
Where's she getting that from?
What, she would have had to add, what, runoff in there and all that stuff?
What we need is basically looking down at your property,
Yep.
where the current existing dwelling is, should say existing. Then over here, the dimensions should be drawn out. And then in the back, you're either going to want to do all the way across, or you're going to want to do a horseshoe, and it should say erosion control. And then also, if you're going to be putting a downspout in, you should, that should be on the plan, because you're obviously increasing a bit of impervious here. So whether you do the dry well, or whether you do a 2-foot pad of crushed stone up the side of the house, you just got to get that water in the ground. It can't discharge towards the back of the lake, but all of that, and the spill kit too, where is the spill kit going to be on the plan? Driveway, are you going to be extending the driveway over? Is it going to stay crushed stone?
No, where the crushed stone is, we're gonna end up paving that.
All right, so there's going to be paving of the driveway. The other angle of this is I got to tell you this, have you talked with Ann from the Planning and Zoning Department?
Yeah. Yeah,
To
we
make
already
sh-
did that. We had to get the
Okay.
special permit and the
And it's been
variance. 'cause we're
recorded.
so
Okay,
close.
all right, because
Yeah, I already filed all
there's
that.
a 40, because there's the 40%, if you're doing 40% impervious, then you'd need to go before them for a permit. All right.
Yeah, that's all set. I actually went down to the Worcester registry and all my
Okay.
paperwork's right here. Filed all that.
All right, good.
What do we have for percentage on this property? Just curious. I mean, it's pretty significant.
What's that?
What's the impervious percentage?
What do you mean?
So what we're asking is there's a regulation where you can't be over 40% of your total property allowing for percolation into the ground. Okay, so you're adding on an addition, and then you're adding on asphalt, I'm assuming, or cement. So all of that is impervious, so it's not getting into the ground. And so you have a max that you can actually get to. And so that also has to be approved. So we need to know all the calculations as to how much of this area of your house is impervious and how much of land do you have. And just by eyeball, you're close.
Yeah. Don, do you have that number? I'm sure Ann ran that number, but that really should be on your, on the plan. So that little sketched plan you got there,
Yeah.
I would probably take some time to actually draw it out, or whoever you're having, who'd you say was going to be your builder?
Biondo?
Okay, so I would just maybe talk to them, or you can do it yourself, but draw out pretty much what you're seeing here,
Yeah.
and show where the carport's going to be, where it's going to be paved, what the square footage is, the dimensions, and then, like I said, how are you controlling that stormwater? Crushed stone up the side of the house or down into a downspout? And then you gotta get those erosion controls on there. And then also, it's good for us, I mean, you've got the sequence there, which is good. But also, anything else on the property that you might be doing, and this permit's gonna be good for 3 years, but it's good for this project that we're approving. So if there's anything else that you're thinking on your property, that you might be, you might be putting in a patio somewhere, you might be putting in stairs somewhere, anything, I would put it on your plan and let us know, that way there's a record of it. So if something pops up in the future and, building inspector, Dawn, one of the commissioners sees something going on and we're like, that wasn't part of the project. Just because you got an open permit doesn't necessarily mean it's open for the entire property. It's specific to the property. I mean, to the project. I'm sorry?
Would it make it a little bit easier if I ended up adding gutters and then just put them in a dry wells?
Yeah, but the thing is we can't, we need that proper plan tonight in order to close this out.
Yeah, all right.
So the plan, you're going to need to submit a new plan to us. So
I'll have him draw something up.
So if you draw that all out, think about, the gutters, crushed stone, however you want to, work it out with the missus and whatnot. And then, like I said, anything else in the property you might be doing, make sure you get that impervious calculation. If you need to talk to Ann from planning, because, it's in our jurisdiction because it's in the 100-foot buffer zone, but we need to let folks know that, all right, you're close to the 40% Lake District zoning regulation, which is you can't have more than 40% of impervious. That's what that is. That's what we're talking about. So in Webster, if you're in the lake, what they call Lake District overlay, any project that you do, you can't have more than, if you have more than 40% of impervious, which means water can't get in the ground, whether it's pavement, whether it's, addition to your house. We see this often with people. They expand their homes, they, expand their driveway. Suddenly it trips basically the entire total square footage of your lot. If you make 40% of it impervious, then you have to go for a special permit from zoning. And then you're going to go before planning.
So a different permit from what we've already sat through with the building?
The permit that you have, it might be just for the building of this, I don't know. But I'm sure that they may have looked at it. I'm sure Ann looked at it.
So I had to get a special permit and I had to get a variance.
Okay.
Then-
So, yeah, and if there's a if there's a variance that's if it's,
Construction,
Yep.
we have a whole, like, almost like a double lot. That's why I'm like 40%, we're getting close, like, it doesn't seem like I'm consuming
Yeah.
much of the property.
we're bringing this up, and I'm bringing it up because I want you to know that if we approve a project and it's more than that 40%, then you have to go and you have to get the other permits that follow with this project before you even start. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
Mr. Chairman, I know when this project came in and stuff, Ian and I had a conversation, and at the time, the zoning and planning weren't filed with Worcester Registry of Deeds, but I do know Brian had brought it in.
Okay.
Because Ian followed up with me after the fact.
Yeah,
And
All right.
certainly, and they had, like what Joey was saying, like erosion, sedimentation, and runoff, and the Celts as the construction sequence, your first or second sequence, that really helps to identify and say, gee, he's taking care of the environment for us, then he can build it by his other sequence. So that would be like your first note on the construction sequence, and that'll have a lot of weight. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
why I asked, I'm like, would it make it simpler if I just ended up adding gutters and did the proper channel and putting the gutters and putting it in the ground and making it kind of a little more simple?
If it were for my project, I'd want the water to get in the ground. So I'd probably,
40, we thought you just preferred to stay natural like it was.
yeah.
It's really your
But,
preference, how you want to
yeah,
handle it, but it just has to be accounted for,
yeah,
getting the water into the ground, whether you do it all along a drip line, or you have gutters and it goes
Yeah.
into a well.
yeah,
Your choice.
yeah.
Just-
One's cleaner, one's just you're gonna have rock that's up the side of your home. So, but that's your, that's your decision. But we're definitely gonna need a plan that's got all of that marked out on there. And, I see your sketch there, but it's gotta be much cleaner for us. Like, you gotta have the property lines, how far across is your property line, the width of where the project's gonna be taking place, the shoreline, like, you need to depict all that stuff on there.
So are you going to be digging for this? Are you going to have any sort of soil placed in an area for a temporary period of time? What's happening to that soil when you're digging?
I believe he's gonna truck it right out,
Trucking it out?
because there's no room.
Yep. Okay.
If there's gonna be a place where you're gonna have a stock of stuff for a little bit, just put that on the plan too, like, this is gonna be the stockpile area. And then probably just let us know what's gonna be there. But if there's gonna be dirt, it's gonna need erosion control around it. So,
Most of the material probably 3/4 inch stone, I would assume, is that correct?
What's that?
The foundation.
Yep.
and whatnot, most of the material you're bringing in is 3/4 inch stone, I assume?
I would assume.
Yep.
I would assume.
Swap it, yeah.
I mean, it's very good gravel over there too, what he's taking out, so,
Good ground.
yep.
I see in deck as specified. I didn't hear discussion about a deck that was going in.
yeah, is there, a deck are you putting in a deck off the back of this?
There's already a deck.
Okay. All right. I would just make sure that, however the dimension of your house is, just let us know. This is a deck, and it's existing, everything that's existing.
Yeah, because
The pictures were, that you saw windows, there's already a deck there. We'd like to, at some point, enclose it, just to make it for storage, because, Adam's room for patio furniture and leaves, so that's what the other picture was just enclosing what's already there.
Yeah,
So what kind of deck do you have now?
What kind of deck?
Yeah, just,
Just wood.
yeah. So this again goes to that impervious thing. When you cover it, you're covering up more land from getting water into the ground. So that's, knowing what that number is might give you an idea as whether or not that would be permitted as well. Sorry.
yeah, no, but it's good that you're mentioning this stuff to us so that we can guide you so that you're not in any kind of violation or anything like
adding
that,
the
so,
deck the way it was written on there.
Yeah, and I mean, and enclosing is not, I mean, that's not, obviously, you have the right to do that, but you just got to make sure that, you just let us know that that's what you're doing. So this is a rendering of pretty much what that would end up looking like.
Like the upper part.
Would be, still be a deck.
The picture doesn't show their stairs that currently bring you up and down.
Yeah, yep,
So yeah, it would just be adding window screen, something back and forth.
okay. But what's there now with that deck? You're not going to be expanding that out anyway, right? It's going to stay the same footprint?
Stay the same.
Okay, all right.
And do you have a dock?
You're going to have to license your dock. We're going to tell you got to license your dock. So,
License the dock.
yeah, you're going to have to go through 91 and license your dock, yeah.
They brought that up during our original construction back in 2000. So we started that process, and I actually wrote the town of Webster a check, which has already been paid. The state told us we didn't.
Yeah, we tried going down there, we called the state, they didn't want to hear anything about it. And then
You
they
have a
hung up on
certain,
us.
time frame. That's why. So you're going to have to go start that process again.
What's the timeframe though, because they told us when on Ocean, we didn't need it.
I believe, don't quote me on it, I think that you've got, once you start that 91 process, I believe you've got a year to complete that application. You have to come back to us. We need to see the dimensions of your dock. We look at the shoreline. Is it a new dock? Is it disturbing the shoreline? If it's most docks are pre-existing in town, so we pretty much we take a look at it, make sure, see what the dimensions are. It should be a minimum of 15 feet off each property line. And that's the other thing too, I think I mentioned it, but make sure you have your property lines, boundaries on that new plan. But where the dock is, and, you pretty much have to come before us. There's a specific filing that goes in the newspaper. And once you've got that, then you go to the state within a certain amount of days with that and say, hey, all right, Conservation Commission has looked at my Chapter 91. They may have comments, whatever they are, and then you proceed with the process with them. But because we're a great pond, everyone's got to license their dock.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we tried going down it, and they pretty much, we tried to ask information, and they just hung up. They said, you don't need it, see you later.
No, you need one.
That's all we got from them.
Yeah.
So a suggestion would be, since you're going to have to come back in front of us with the new plans, that you go and file the Chapter 91, you put out before the next meeting, you put out, notify all of your neighbors with their notification process, and you just come and it's all online, you can hand draw it right in there, all the drawings, and when you come here to look at those plans, we look at that and we approve that, and you'd be all set, and then you just send it off.
Don, did you have a
Mr.
comment?
Chairman, Mr. Parent, that is not an option at this point in time because of the way the advertisement was placed in the paper
No, I'm saying, what do you mean?
for the Chapter 91.
No, I'm saying he uses the Chapter 91 form to notify the public. A separate,
But the town also has to advertise for it, and the way that his ad was put in for this application, it did not include the dock.
Yeah, that's,
So unfortunately,
That's
that's not an option at this point in time. It would have to be a new RDA application.
it's a state process, and we have to implore people to do it, because then if you don't get your dock license, you're actually in a violation. I mean, we're starting to go through with everyone and letting folks know you have to do this. Ever since we became a great pond. But there's this ridiculously long state, it's specific wording, it's online, and it has to go in the newspaper.
I mean, we're working on construction on our home and an addition, and I have a construction loan. I mean, our permit's now good for a year, and I really don't want to hold up my addition to the front of my house for a dock permit. So, I mean, if we want to discuss the dock permit on a whole different level, that's fine.
We're going to put it,
Hold up my addition.
we're gonna put it in here that you just you have to do it within the permit.
Question on that as
The-
well, because I know my neighbor
Yeah.
did this chapter 91, and he registered for a dock that's supposed to be a single dock.
Yep.
Now I have a double horseshoe next to me, and he rents out slips, which encroaches on that 10 feet you're talking about. So if we go through this whole process about where I need to be and how far I need to be, if you look at pictures, it's not going to be valid because my neighbor's renting dock
Well,
slips.
it's,
This chapter 91 doesn't go with what he registered.
here's the thing.
My question is, like, how do they enforce this once you do it?
So what you have to do is you need to email the Waterways Department, Chapter 91, and explain to them that I know the original filing, it's different now, and we are going through the process now, and don't get hung up on, you have to be 15 feet, it's got to be centered. There's, it's just, that's kind of a rubric standard that lawyers came up with for the law. And of course, there are some people that have 5 feet of lake frontage. They want a dock. Obviously, the state is going to allow them to have access, because basically what Chapter 91 is you are applying to the state to have access to their land, because that's pretty much waterways, and Anna Gray Pond is state property. And even though you've got lakefront property, you have to ask and you have to pay a fee. I think it's $75, and the permit's good for 30 years, up to 30 years. So once you've been through that process, but if you end up saying something about someone that's beside you and you have concerns about it, the state's going to look at them, and then they're going to see that you've got an unlicensed dock, and then they're going to be like, you need to file. So that's why we're just letting you know, because in a situation like this, but this isn't going to hold up your application here, but we're telling you that you're going to need to put a filing in.
Are they ever at some point going to get everybody who lives on Webster Lake in an auditorium to be on the same page?
Eventually,
I feel like it only comes up in meetings.
that's how we're going about it right now, and that's, and there's a lot of people out there that have not done new construction and have still come before us and said, I'm here to file for my dock, because I'm hearing that this is what I need to do and I want to be legally compliant. So, it's a work in progress. It's unfortunately, it's one of the oldest laws in the state, and it really was never upheld in town. And so we're just in that curve of just starting to get people to understand, know what it is, and know that you have to get it done.
I guess I did give you guys a map back in 2013.
Yep.
And they paid Webster the $75,
We can,
$85. It's just the state turned us away. They didn't want us, they said we didn't need it.
yeah, the state's going to look at it as, yeah, it's,
Half registered dogs?
the state's going to look at it as, you missed the window, sorry. But the filing fee for in town, well, we can discuss the dock piece. Don can give you more information on that. But more critical right now is what you got before us here. And then what we're going to just do is we'll put it in a condition that you're going to have to, within, X amount of time, get your dock license. And we can help you through that process. Okay?
Joey, so I have a question, just because I really want to understand this. So we have an RDA in front of us which did not incorporate a dock in it, right? That's what's being stipulated, right? So the butters have been notified, but there's no dock in that.
In an RDA, there's no butter notification.
That's the problem, right? That's the difference. But How is
that's-
this different than if he's already, if he was to, he didn't even have a project and was wanted to come in front of us for a dock permit? What's different?
Then he, depending upon what type of dock they plan on doing, whether,
Existing dock, right?
Yep.
It's all, it's compliant.
so it would be an RDA, and then, so there'd be the RDA notice, and then because it's Chapter 91, the state says, you got to do this big, long notice too, and that goes out. Any abutters that are beside, or within, what, 100, 300 feet of them? I think it's 300 feet. They've got a 30-day window to not even comment to us, comment to the state. So
Thank you.
the state, it's a state process, so of course it's detailed. It seems like a lot. It's fairly simple. The hardest part is the application process. Because they want to know all the dimensions and how deep is it and where does it sit and is it pre-existing, is it not pre-existing, is it seasonal, is it fixed, is it, all these,
So Ann will know the impervious, the 40% or whatever that you're looking for.
yeah. I mean, if you stop into the building office and ask to talk to Ann and Dawn, they can talk to you about that. Yeah, but I would know, I would just, express that you're going to be enclosing that. And then I saw a shed there. Believe it or not, sheds are considered part of your impervious on your property. Anything that's got a roof, you got to add that into the square footage. So,
Mr. Chairman, Brian and Christine? I have it on my list. I'm going to email you the 40% impervious verbiage, but I'm also going to check with Ann, because I have a feeling you might have already done it, because she's usually pretty thorough and when we were talking about your project. So I'll confirm with her.
Well, I would assume they would have denied me the special permit, the variance.
Yeah, I don't look at her paperwork, I just ask. Do you know what I mean? So I will ask her.
But they approved that, so.
we'll get you where you need to be and we'll help you out. So, all right. We're not the enemy.
If you need the drawing where the water is gonna go and,
Water, where the water for your dwelling, how you're gonna manage that, erosion sediment control barrier. You got pavement going in, any stockpile area, put that on the plan, spill kit. Basically, when you hand us the plan, we should be able to look at it and say, all right, this is everything that they're doing. And I see it, good.
all right.
Good?
I know we wanted to add a patio, but it ain't gonna be happening right now.
No,
But
you can't. Well,
Can, impervious pavers.
Yeah.
I mean, pervious pavers.
Yeah, underneath it.
well, no, we don't have the money, but you said it's good for 3 years, so.
Yeah.
So if you put it into this plan.
Put it on the plan, that way you've got 3 years. And
you don't
if
have to come back in front of us.
someone drives by and they see you putting in a patio, if someone drives by and sees you putting in a patio, there's no,
It's not a rule that you have to do it, but you have it approved if you want to do it. So if you decide you want to do it within the next 3 years, then you have approval.
Yeah.
If you decide I can't afford it, I don't want it, I changed my mind, you don't have to do it. But if it's 5 years, then you have to come back again to get reapproved.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
you might as well just put it in. We're not going to say, oh, you didn't put the patio in, so we're not going to sign you off,
I
right?
think we thought too, like, if we were talking about a patio where you say it's good for 3 years, and we didn't have money for it for 2, we didn't want to hold up the thing.
Oh,
for
no,
one
so you
half.
don't have to
So we
commit.
Just figured
No.
we'd come back.
and,
Yeah.
and
No,
if you
so
need,
You don't have to commit that you're going to do it, but you have permission to do it if you decide to.
yeah. So, like I said, the building inspector or Dawn or a commissioner drives by and is like, whoa, they're digging up the whole backyard, like, they check to see what the commission reviewed, talked about you with, and then they see, oh, all right, yeah, they did talk about the patio, and we'll just question and be like, hey, you're doing the patio now, like, and you're good. We've reviewed it, and it's good. And then,
If you put it on there,
and,
it runs out for 3 years, so
yeah,
is it almost like,
that's why I'm,
say, 5 years?
this is,
Continuous,
this is why I'm saying,
an extension?
So you can continue it,
this, This is why I'm saying, whatever you're thinking conceptually in the next 3 years, put it on the plan and let us review it and say yay, nay. You get to almost that 3-year window, and you're like, you know what, we might be able to get it done next year. Just come back, you notify her and ask for, we'll put you on the agenda, and you just say, I need a year extension, and we can extend the permit. But we don't do more than 1-year extensions here.
And a simple note saying a possible future alternative, probably for, assume 3 years from what just from
Like to
here.
win the lottery next year.
So,
I have no idea how I would design it, so I just
Go have some fun.
Yeah.
She does.
We've lived there for 10 years. When
Yeah.
you're sitting outside, the things you think of.
talk to her, she's got the plan. Also, if you're gonna do like a little fire pit thing too, put that on there too, just so it's covered.
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else, just let our department know, all right?
All right.
All right, thank you both. Folks, I need, Brian, you want to go on the 11th, September 11th, or do you need a little bit longer?
But if we could get everything approved by then, that would be great, because I know we've talked about what we've put on paper for
Yep.
5 years now.
Okay,
So
so,
if I could start before snow flies.
absolutely, all right,
I'm
so,
in the entrance area, and I have a 100-pound dog that needs to, yeah, he doesn't like the back deck stairs, so he won't go down the basement. It's awful, I can't, he can't.
all right, commissioners. Can I get a motion to continue 25 Colonial Road for a new plan from the applicant to September 11th?
I will make a motion to continue 25 Colonial Road to September 11th.
Commissioner Sharon with the first, do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Camerata with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell? Yes. Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Good. All right, hopefully that was not too much information for you guys. All right, folks, so, all right, we've got public hearings here, notices of intent, also known as NOIs. Can we get a continuance for 46 West Point Road to 9/25, please?
I'll make a motion to continue 46 West Point Road to September 25th.
Okay. Commissioner Sharon with the first, do we have a second, please?
A second.
And Commissioner Jewell with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Next up, 69 Colonial Road, DEP number 3231255. This is David and Kathleen Arnold, demolition of a dwelling and rebuilding a single-family house, continued from 7/24. How are we doing tonight?
Is this on? Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, and curious audience. My name is David Sadowski. I'm the principal of DJ and Associates, and I'm here representing the 69 Colonial property. We've done a couple things since our last meeting. One, we verified the floodplain. The datum that we had used, the sewer manhole cover, was a proposed set of plans. It wasn't the as-built. What's happened is all of our elevations have lowered by 2 feet 10 inches. So a lot of the front of the peninsula now is in the floodplain. The building isn't, the floor isn't, but the plans have been adjusted. The other thing that we've done is maybe 11 or 12 days ago, we stopped and we dropped off a construction sequence. The things that you had asked for, how was the building to be taken apart, what was to be done with materials. It was signed by the owner and by the gentleman who's going to do the construction and pull the permit. I think that was made available to you. Have you all reviewed that document?
I've not reviewed it entirely, so,
You want to go through it with us?
looking at me, but it's on there.
Yeah, it is
It's,
on
it's,
there.
yeah, it's in the,
All right,
it's
I
in the
don't know if anyone's
materials.
read it or not, or if
Yeah.
it seemed like it was a good base product to start with, or something that the board was looking for, or trying to ask for an answer on that.
I was on vacation last week, I didn't look
Okay.
at it.
Okay. Can you scroll down a little bit, Don? Thank you.
So this,
I didn't realize there was a screen right here.
Yeah, there's a large screen here. Yeah, we're not staring
I'm
down
like,
at
wow,
your
these
feet.
guys have like a screen in their head that they're reading. I'm
Nope,
like,
no,
wow.
no, we've got,
Maybe
yeah.
they're A1 people.
No, no. All right, so, anyone else need to look at this? Because I'd like to go back to the, plan.
Anyways, I thought that the big thing was that the owner has signed it, and also the gentleman who's gonna pull the building permit has signed it, that this is the sequence, and this is what they're gonna do, because I know you were looking for reassurance, you were looking for what started is started the way that we're gonna, what's, you
Yes.
know, not we're gonna, I'm not gonna build anything. You know, I'm speaking as if they're my client, that's it. I'm not speaking as if I'm the construction guy. But I wanted to make sure I try to put extra erosion control. We talked about the laydown area that's now completely wrapped with an erosion control. I just want to make sure that everything is spelled out on how they're going to operate, how they're not going to. I have notes on my plan that they can't have fuels on site overnight. I have notes, you know, everything needs to be covered nightly. We don't want any louse, which is a windblown type of material that could blow into different places, including the resource area. Different safeguards that need to be done to protect the water system. I mean, that's my role here. I have no gain in this whatsoever. It's not my property. It's not anything to do there. I'm here to work as a surveyor who is here to protect the environment. I'm here as a surveyor who's here to determine a property line, determine an elevation, a quantity, or whatever else. Anything that needs to be done to the property, I'm more than happy to put on the plans, as long as it's reasonable, you know? And I mean, everything that I've heard from this board seems very reasonable. Everyone seems so knowledgeable here, and I'm glad to be working with a board like this. But, I mean, that's my role in this matter. I was hired to bring this forward, and we need to protect this, we need that. I mean, it took a while to get the builder and the owner to look through and make sure that everything was gonna be in the sequence that they could live with. And make sure they do, so nothing happens like what happened, I guess, on 67. I wasn't part of that, I wasn't here for that. This is a whole different animal. You know, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that. I have nothing to do with anything that happened in the past. I don't want anything like that to happen. I'll probably do more work on it. My friends, the Stars, live over, they used to be on Wakefield, now they're on Mark Ave. I've been on the lake before a number of times. I've enjoyed the lake. I want the lake to stay like the lake forever.
No, but the owner was egregiously, of the plans we gave him, you know, so it's hard to completely trust that it'll be taken out this way.
I understand that, that's
I mean,
why
it
I wanted
wasn't
to
a
have everything
minor thing.
signed.
It was
You know, that's why I brought it
major.
down early for review. I mean, whatever needs to be altered, whatever needs to be changed, whatever needs to be added, more than, you know, willing to continue, willing to do whatever we have to.
So
I
a
haven't had a
piece,
All
chance
right.
to look at it yet, but you're saying that erosion, sedimentation, runoff, as was previously discussed earlier today, all those sequence of construction are indicated on your plan.
Yes. I mean, I do have about 15 to 20 notes on the plan, too.
So do we have an updated plan, David, where you've
Well, you
added?
know, I brought in this list about 12 days ago. The plan got completed today.
Okay,
I do
all
have a
right.
copy of it with me. I did email it to Dawn about
All right.
an hour ago, an hour and a half
'Cause,
ago.
yeah.
I apologize for that, but I
I
just
was in
said
the
that.
meeting.
I do have a copy of it right here. I mean,
Yeah,
I know I can't submit because you have to have it 7 days.
five
before, but
days at
I
least
show
prior,
everything
yeah.
for a dumpster now. I show this completely
Stockpile, hay bales, yeah.
wrapped around. I show the new, how it comes up in the peninsula, comes up in the stairs, the floodplain itself on there. I mean, basically, look at that.
So as I recall, the last time the first time this was presented, we were just doing just a house and the existing foundation was going to stay as it is. But now I'm reading that we are going to completely redo the existing, this foundation. Is that correct?
That's always been the plan.
Really?
Yeah, it says that in the notes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe my memory's wrong.
No,
Can you just walk me through that process?
Are you the gentleman that lives on the water? That goes by this all the time in your boat?
Yes.
Okay.
They all do.
That's all of it. Yeah, we all do.
Every one of them,
Can't avoid it, it's on the point.
We narrowed it down a little bit.
all do.
No, the foundation is a fieldstone foundation. You
know.
can see through it. The
Yeah.
whole intent was to raise the building up where the
Yes.
foundation where the old one was. I mean,
So can you walk me through the process?
I talk about the sequence of when it's poured. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna pin the footing. I'm gonna pin the corners of the foundation. I'm gonna certify the foundation. Everything's gonna be exactly as it is in the existing condition when we get done. There's no new areas to be added. There's no new walkways. There's no, anything that's like you're talking about for a 3-year plan. There's no new impervious being added. All that's being done is the supports of the deck that are on the corner are being changed, and the foundation itself is being poured in exactly the same place. They're gonna hand take apart the building, they're gonna use hammer and whatever, they're not gonna swing any type of an excavator or anything and knock it down. It's gonna be put into a dumpster, it's gonna be taken off site. They could put it in a dump truck and get rid of it sooner. I mean, it's always been, I mean, you have the old copies of the plans, the notes are there that say the foundation's gonna be replaced.
What do you intend to do with the existing foundation?
Taken to a suitable place, and it will be noted where it was taken. It's not gonna be buried on site. It's gonna be taken off-site.
Thank
I mean, you put that right into the order, too, but that's what's gonna happen to it now. Some of the stone, since it's nice field stone, could be redone, because there are 2 retaining walls that have fallen in for lack of use at the site, or people pointing or doing whatever. Maybe some of those stones could be used there, because there are some nice flat, they're like the Connecticut stone that you see in walls, other than the nice up in central Mass, how we have the nice round rocks. You know, because the glacier was pushing them, the fieldstone ones are the ones that fissured off.
So my question is about the side that's on pillars.
Yes,
So those pillars come pretty close to the edge of the water.
they certainly do.
So the foundation isn't going to be.
No, those pillars, through the chair, I shouldn't be just talking to you, I'm sorry. Parliamentary, through the chair, those pillars had to be replaced with helical piles that are gonna be driven in place of them.
So the main house is just going to be on the fieldstone foundation, which is now going to be concrete,
Correct.
but then there'll be an extension on pillars, just like that
Just
piece
like the,
is on
just like the
pillars
enclosed
now.
deck is now, it'll be the same thing. There's not gonna be any foundation wall poured out to it, there's not gonna be a foundation wall holding that up. It's gonna be the helical piles that'll be holding that up. I put some extra, orange construction fence in that area, I put an extra row of hay bale and silt fence in that area. We're open to a
Straw bale.
pool in the water if you'd like to have one of those. I mean, whatever you'd like us to put on the plan, I'm looking for ideas from the board.
But, a big but here.
I understand,
It's-
I understand.
It's interesting that if you look at the 480 high watermark for flood storage, even though this is up on a small peninsula, that porch is into and out over what would be considered floodplain. Any work in the back of the dwelling, because I would imagine that they're going to want to, where there's an existing patio, they're going to want to fix that. I mean, I wouldn't want to put in a nice house and then have that sort of overgrown and trip hazard kind of patio. That's actually in and around the 480 mark. And then the other thing that I'm noticing here on the
Yeah, that
plan.
floodplain comes up the stairs, it comes up about 3 of the
Yeah,
stairs, and
and-
it circles just outside of that patio.
Yeah, and the thing is if you're clearing any kind of vegetation, which you may need to clear some vegetation, you're now disturbing, I we'd need to figure out, and I would have the wetland scientists figure this out, is what is really going to be getting disturbed as far as those trees that are there and so forth. And is it more than 10% bank? Because if you're disturbing more than 10% bank, then you got to compensate for that. And I mean, there's places to compensate on this because now you're doing work on this property. But we need to know exactly the full scale, because I'm seeing some trees that are not looking great. I'm looking at one right now. Yeah, that grouping right there. I mean, you know, we need to know exactly the full scale of this project, because that 480 mark, you know, if you're doing any kind, that would be considered on this entire project, any vegetation clearing would be disturbance of BVW. And that, under the state regs right there, is like, wow, you got to compensate for that. So it's like, if, you know, around the dwelling and anywhere on this peninsula, the property, what's going to get regraded, what's going to get shored up, are we going to be losing some vegetation, what's coming back, and then particularly the porch. That right there, that's like, you have to file a Chapter 91 to do any kind of work in and around that area.
You can see it there.
You know what I'm saying?
Because even to put piles, there's digging that would have to happen there.
Yeah, and I mean, there's an
It's a big
existing,
drill that pushes down in, but
the state still looks at it as it's, you know, but even still, you're going to have to clear some vegetation there to get that in. And I mean, I'm seeing, you know, some trees here that,
you can see there's a stump there, so that they won't be accused of taking that one down.
and I mean, you can't, I mean, honestly, you can't say that you're going to do this kind of project and not have to take some vegetation, and the BVW is going to get impacted in some way here. And it just so happens to be in 91 territory. So how are we going to compensate for that, number one? And number two, if the enclosed porch is going to hang over on the side, even though there's helical piles there, under the state regs, you got to file a 91. Because you're
We might have
putting,
to file a 91 for a dock that they already have too, if they don't have well, then I guess I can include that with that. I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, I've never filed 91, I live in Clinton, we don't have, you have to
It's-
watch use a reservoir, but we
Yeah,
nobody can
it's,
build on that.
It adds a whole new layer to the board, I can tell you that much. And it's been, you know, it's been a bit of a challenge to explain to folks that the state has deemed this, and it really is by criteria, a great pond. You know, it's a lake, but it's a great pond.
Yeah, it's over 10 acres,
And
so
it's,
it's considered
and it's
great lake.
considered, a state resource, so when it's, you gotta,
Just freeze on this, as you can see, there's no trees or vegetation over this building. The building is gonna be built straight up where it is now. There's no, I even note in there's no tree line or trees that are gonna be lost because of this construction. It's not gonna be a ball out there swinging off some type of a crane that's gonna knock this down. They're gonna
well, I mean,
take it down.
I'm not suggesting that, it's just,
But
I just
this is a
can't-
good shot right here to show that there are no trees that are over or against this structure.
but there's trees on the side where I know more than likely they're going to impact trying to get in an enclosed porch. But still, that enclosed porch hangs over that 480 mark, which it trips Chapter 91. But going to the, let's call it the front of the building, on the lake side, there's going to be, I mean, we need to know exactly what the intention is there. You're going to be taking up that fence. I'm sure, you know, there's things that are going to be going on here that looking at this 480 mark,
Right, it's short of.
that 480 mark,
Slate stone, it comes up to about the second stair, and then it wraps
it does. It actually comes, it's rather interesting. So it's all within, and then the other thing too is, there's going to be a new foundation poured, and
Right, and the foundation is going to only extend as far as, you can see where the porch breaks,
Yeah.
where the enclosure is different from the screened area. Yeah, right in there is where the wall's gonna go. So the rest of that's supported by what's there now, which is those piers that are in the ground, if we wanna call them, or columns, or whatever you wanna say they are, they're not caisson. And then there's gonna be helical piles put in next to them to help support, because we don't know how far down they go when they put this up. We can't just say we'll use the old ones, because they might not be on the bedrock. I mean, to put the building up.
So what do we need to
So
address?
if we have to file with 91, we'll have to file with chapter 91.
what
Whatever needs to be done.
I would probably do, what I would do, rather, is, has a builder been brought on yet? Or is that still?
Yeah, he's the one that's his letterhead on the sequence of construction.
Okay, all right. So what I would recommend is on this plan, I see your proposed erosion control line.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that it is the erosion control line, not proposed. We need to be definitive as to where
Oh,
that.
I'm just putting proposed
erosion- yeah,
because it's not an
no.
existing, I
So-
just mean it's not existing.
So
that's
what
all.
I would recommend, and then I don't see on this plan, the second one on here, so I would get that second one on here wherever it's gonna end up being. I see this one here,
Right.
and
Down
it,
in this area here, there's additional.
all right. I would probably somehow figure out how a second one can come across here. I mean, yeah, a second one is good, but it needs to be, it needs to be depicted on here. The other thing too is, I'll bring it up,
This is the area where the second is. right
Okay.
Here where the
all right.
overhang of the deck.
So I would,
This area here, this is the existing conditions.
okay,
In this area, there was a proposed plan too, that was, it is proposed, I'm sorry.
so I'd like to, whether the builder comes, then, comes back, at the next meeting, so that we can talk to him about what's going to happen, and we're still not really getting into what is the applicant's intention in this area here. Because I can't imagine putting in a nice new house here and leaving this the way it looks in the photos. And then also, the builder would be able to say, and I would talk to the Arnolds too. I mean, there's a couple of trees there that are just not looking, they're not up to snuff. So is the,
This is pieces of field stone right now, with grass going up through it. Imagine he's gonna leave it like this.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not a concrete patio or anything like that needs to be.
I
You can pull the grass out, I imagine, I don't want to be And then these stones are in good shape right here.
I get that, Dave, but what happened, what people say, and then what they do, regardless of any, well, it's not even, no, it's not just Mr. Arnold. It's just, particularly when we're real close like this, you're in BVW. Like, part of the house is actually in a BVW, and helical piles are supposed to be driven in a Chapter 91 zone. What I would do between now and, 9/11 would be to talk to DEP in the central region. I would either call them up or visit the office over in Worcester, and either talk to Judy or talk to, I would talk to, yeah, Kim's another one, or talk to Mia and say, look, I got this proposal in Webster, and 480 is the mean high water mark for floodplain. And, what would you suggest, or do you have some you know, can you give me some guidance on this? Because, you know, but the thing is too, is they're going to ask exactly what I asked and what the board's asked. What could, you know, and this is where you partner with the Arnolds and you partner with the builder. What, you know, are some of that BVW going to get impacted? Where on here will BVW be impacted? And what's going to be, how's it going to be either revegetated or restored? You know, like I said, I think it was this tree here. And then like there's vegetation in this area over here. That's, it's in question. And then talk to the Arnolds. What, you know, we can't just put the application through and say that this is going to stay the way it is, and then. No, I know, but say that this is. Well, here's the thing. Do you have a DEP number yet?
Yes,
Okay.
1255.
All right. I would probably, if it's not added on here, I would add it on here, so that it pretty much codifies this plan
with no comment.
with that. Okay. So, but I would, you know, talk to the Arnolds about this area too. Like, are they gonna?
See if I can get the builder to come to the next meeting.
Yeah, but the builder can say one thing, but what do the Arnolds want? That's the thing. I mean, we can't, you know, just like I've mentioned plenty of times tonight, just because you got the application and you said you're going to be doing all this, and you add all this other stuff, you're in violation already, you know?
Mr. Chairman, I'll say it again. I'm the engineer.
I get it.
I'm not gonna come down here and cut the grass. I'm not gonna come and do
Ab-
edges.
Absolutely,
I'm
that,
not gonna pull things out. I was told they're gonna replace the building where it exists.
yep,
Right now, there's no trees that are against the building, there's no trees blocking a path in. The dumpster's gonna be in the middle where it's gonna go, there's a lay-down area for spoils. They're gonna take the things off, put it in an appropriate location. Most of that fieldstone's gonna be taken apart by hand.
yeah.
And then they're gonna pour some footings and they're gonna pour the walls up.
But that's-
I've set up 4 or 5.
There's
control
beautiful-
points. We're gonna have our survey equipment, we're gonna locate, we're gonna show them exactly where the footing's gonna go back. We're gonna show them exactly where we're gonna put the frost wall up, or we're gonna put the cellar wall up. I'm gonna put a certified plan together, I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
the certified plan back in. I mean, that's what I was hired to do, and that's what I'm gonna do.
And how are we gonna deal with runoff?
But right now, the runoff is whatever's running off the building, we're not increasing 1 square foot of impervious.
The runoff needs to be captured in some way and put into either,
Do rain barrels?
I don't necessarily,
Water ban in town, you'll be able to have water, so you'll be able to water
I-
the grass, water the flowers, water the garden.
it's best if a dry well could go somewhere.
Oh, it could.
Dry well,
Septic is not on property, it's pumped to the town sewer.
no, but the thing is too, that's
I
not,
really prefer
the
the
thing-
rain barrel.
also too, that's not on here is where's the driveway gonna be and what is it? Where and what?
Right now, it's a gravel area to drive into and just park cars. I don't think he's gonna spend any money on putting pavement.
But
I'll
that's,
ask him and have him sign something that says he's not gonna.
it's, you know, but these, you know, these things need to go on here. This will be the drive.
His intent was to leave the yard like it is, and park the vehicles like they're being parked. It looks like something that's at a beach area. I don't know if you've been there.
Well,
It's a well-worn area where.
well, the other thing is what's going on with that pad there? See how there's a concrete pad for cars?
Over in here is that broken up field stone that really not gonna replace it like it is. This is the only place with some concrete.
Yeah. Is it coming up? Is it coming out? Where's it going? And then like,
I'll specifically ask him.
and like Commissioner, yeah, and like on the plan here, we'd need to see where is there going to be the best place for the catch all the runoff. So that was the other thing too. Where is,
Your thoughts aren't
Dry well.
necessarily his, right? So when you say, I imagine he's gonna leave those fieldstone in place, you imagine that, but he might imagine something totally different.
we gotta know the full scope. And there's a lot of beautiful fieldstone there. I'd be, you know, I would reuse it. I'd be reusing it. But when you look at this, I mean, it's one of those funky little spots. It's one of those, it really is one of those, it's one of those funky little spots.
It's a great peninsula, it's almost 180 feet long.
Yeah, I mean, but it's
Under 600,000.
But it's so particular, it's in such a precarious area, like the 480 comes up so high, and you look at it, and you're like, geez, it goes up that high, but that's what FEMA says that it goes, so we have to go with that. So, and like I said, there's all BVW all around it. What could get impacted in the development? So that's a big key question. So, any other questions?
So you want to, can I ask for a motion to have the board move into 9/11?
Absolutely. So can we get a motion to continue 69? Well, first off, does the commission have any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could we see if there's anyone in the audience that might have something to say?
We gotta figure this out. Once we get the final plan, then I motion to open it for public comment.
Oh.
There's a
If
process.
there's someone in the audience that
There's
has
a-
something to say that would help.
There's a process with that, so.
Detail from a builder of the piles. How's he gonna do it to protect everything so it'll be done in a nice workmanlike manner? Obviously, it's right by the,
And the other thing too is, are the helical posts the right thing to use to brace that there based on, I mean, that's glacial deposit there, so is it gonna hold? I mean, that's kind of a building question, but we want to make sure.
Used on the water when they've had this situation.
he should ask other.
Yeah, that's usually, no, I mean,
They're the ones that do approved
if,
stuff, so I'm wondering what else
if-
is brought in if you're thinking that that's the wrong product.
yeah, well, the thing is if, when I'm asking about, the helical posts are like the new thing, but based on what you got the terrain, you probably have really poor soil there, which is what's all around the lake. It's all gravel and sand. But is it better to pour a block and then brace it that way? It's kind of one of those things. I know, but you're looking at putting in an enclosed room. But you're looking at putting in an enclosed room. So if there needs to be poured footings,
Is better for an enclosed room.
of course. But,
Trying to think of the lake.
yeah, no, I get that.
Should never have an erosion problem with rebar.
Yeah, as long as it's 2 inches in from the face of the concrete,
That's correct.
where it's supposed to be,
2 inches.
for
But-
tensile strength. Civil engineering, sir.
So I think that's why it's probably really good that the builder get in touch with Dawn and, between now and 9/11, we're asking you these questions because you're the representative right now, and a lot of these questions could probably just be cleared up by having the builder come and say, all right, you know what, yeah, this and that, but particularly because helical posts are planned in that 91, which could be a 91 area, I'd probably partner with the building inspector before the next meeting, and you start redoing the plan, and say, hey, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like, should we, based on this grade and it's this kind of soil, I want to see if helical posts are the best option here, or do we think poured concrete sonotube is better? Because you don't want to, we don't want to.
The builder's done 2 other projects on the lake already, and that's why he was picked.
Yeah, so I would probably have the builder partner with Ted on that. But that should be integrated onto the next, hopefully, which would be the last iteration of the plan. Okay?
Well, I wanna, obviously tomorrow, talk to both DEP and talk to the builder.
Yeah, and just say, yeah,
Submit it in so you can have time to review them. I wanna get it arranged that we can see if the builder can come to the next meeting,
yeah.
and then let him be able to talk to the
All right,
what he understands from the owner, what he thinks he's supposed to be doing, he put together that sequence, is he gonna follow through on the
It's,
sequence?
yeah, I mean, it's
Is he gonna
great with
hear
the,
his voice here? I mean, the
it's-
builder is the guy that's gonna be making everything on the site happen.
yes, but,
I mean, Mr. Arnold's not gonna be doing anything.
no, but once it's all taken down, I mean, what's going to happen on the end of that peninsula? Like I said, I mean, you know, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to just weed whack and clear everything out and straighten up the blocks and everything. You know, that's one thing, but,
Between the little piece of slate.
you know, but I mean, the other thing too is if there's safety hazards or whatever, anything that's going to be getting done, we need to put conditions on it, you know? So that's why we need to know all these details. So I gave you back that plan. I wrote the, couple of the little notes on it, for you. And then, is there anything,
Right there. And
anything else, commissioners, before a motion?
I think the only
Just
other
to-
question I had was, what was the access, so where was the heavy equipment going to move? Is it on the south side? Can you move heavy equipment along that south side of that building?
Yeah, if we can bring the screen, there's a picture on the right-hand side. I mean, there's not gonna be a lot of heavy equipment. There's gonna be the concrete truck will be back in here with the truck.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm asking. So the concrete truck's not going down
No,
there.
concrete truck won't be.
So what's going to go down on the south side?
I think maybe, whatever's gonna be used to drive the deal with piles will come down the south side. The ideal thing is to take this fieldstone out and drive it into here into the existing cell that's here. It's sand, it's gravel, there's no pavement, there's no concrete, there's all nothing. Then he'd be able to go over there and drive whatever needs to be driven. If we could bring up a picture of the side of the house.
The other thing too, David, if you don't have it on there, where equipment's going to be parked, I would just put
I
a,
said it can't be parked on site overnight, but I don't know what, no, we're bringing on the other side, the south side of the building. You can see there's an access way that comes down
Yeah.
through here.
Yep,
You can see the well worn, how it's been traveled, it comes down, this has got two rubber tires on it, it goes into the water.
Yep.
And the stairs are in the front, so there's an area there that will
Okay.
support
Okay.
something, a rubber tire. You know,
Okay.
there's nothing big gonna go in here either. But I'll have the developer tell you, because he's the one that's gonna rent the equipment, or bring the equipment, or have the equipment, or whatever he's gonna have.
Yeah.
He can fill you in a lot.
yeah.
Okay.
No, these are all great questions, I'm glad you're giving it to me, because it's gonna give me more knowledge for the next time I go before a lake commission. Maybe not here, maybe at another lake where I'll be able to have stuff. You know what I mean?
Even a
I
small
learn something.
machine, you got
Learn something at every one, you know, you go to. If
Yeah.
you're not learning, there's no sense being around.
even a small machine, if you pull them over, you're really not in the zone that we're interested in, and do your work.
Right. That's why I'm saying, if this, you can see the fieldstone right here, if this comes apart, the machine can move right in where the house was. Then it can work from here, it'll have a base inside the cellar, and then it will be able to drive, it'll be able to move the fronts, and work your way out of it, just like you do if you're washing the floor, you gotta get to the door, you gotta get to wherever, you don't just start and do everything over here and block yourself off, you know, I mean, well, maybe some people.
And the erosion,
Tells you that we'll be all set, right?
it would probably be a good idea to consider the erosion control the limit of work on this project.
Yeah, I did say
That would probably be a good special condition.
control is a limit of work.
Yeah. That way we can, if it needs to bend around areas that need to be protected away from clearing of vegetation, machinery going a certain place.
It says limit of work,
Yeah.
limit erosion control line. The existing tree canopy will not be altered as a result of construction.
Okay.
That's note number 4 under wetland notes and construction schedule.
But it'd be good if the contractor cross-check with Mr. Arnold, say the commission's got questions about the patio in the back and a couple of trees, and particularly the trees near where that closed room is going to be. Does anything, not that it can't be, but is anything going to be altered? Or does anything need to come down? And if it does, just going to have to replant some plants somewhere. So,
What kind of heat does this building have currently?
I think it does.
Yeah? Not oil heat, like with a tank or anything?
I think there was a propane tank that used to be over against the building. I don't know if the picture's showing outside the propane tank is not oil.
Okay.
There's a big fireplace.
This is one of, probably one of the last old cottages. This reminds me of the Bear Cottage.
What's the foundation?
One more on
floor.
Kildare, but
Is
it's
it
not.
ground
I
or
love
is it?
that.
Ground, it's only 4.5, 5 feet. And one of the reasons we put the walls in,
It's
it's
always
gonna be
been
7
this way
feet.
here.
In the cellar, you're gonna be able to walk. So
Yeah,
how
it's
do you find it?
differently.
Yeah, I mean, you can go in anytime you want, you can see it.
Oh,
All right,
you want that picture?
so you got your little punch list there. We'd like to see the building, the builder. And if there's nothing else, commissioners, can we get a motion for continuance of 69 Colonial Road to 9/11?
I'll make a motion that we continue 69 Colonial Road till 9/11.
Okay. Commissioner Parent with the first, and then who was the second? And Commissioner Jewell with the second, and a roll call. Commissioner Jewell? Yes. Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. All right, Mrs. Sadowski, thank you very much.
Come back 9/11.
I know, huh? Be safe.
We'll see.
All right. So we've got one more on the listing here, and then,
Oh, again, thank you for
all
your
right,
time.
thank you. All right, so next up here, folks, is New England Power Company. This is NSTAR, I believe, yes? NSTAR?
Sorry?
NSTAR?
New England Power Company?
New England Power Company. DEP number 323-1254. This is, looks like upgrades to transmission lines. I'm going to call on our board clerk to, Commissioner Jewell, to read the public notice, please.
In accordance with MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, a public hearing will be held on a notice of intent filed by New England Power Company to determine whether the S19 line geotechnical soil boring project at S19 transmission line RO in Webster, Mass. is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and local wetland bylaw. The public hearing will be held in the Board of Selectmen Meeting Room, second floor, Webster Town Hall, 350 Main Street, Webster, Mass. On August 21st, 2023 at 5:30 PM. Any person interested in this application or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. For the Webster Conservation Commission, Don Portman, Conservation Agent.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Jewell, and I'm going to turn it over to Don Portman for a moment to update us on the status of the application, please.
I received this application, I reviewed it. This is my first application as far as doing soil boring. It seemed very complete, very detailed. All safeguards seem to be in place, so I can see no reason why this should not be heard.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner, Don. Okay, how are you, Ms. BSC?
Hi, yes, I'm Allison Milliman. I'm with BSC Group. I'm here on
Yes.
behalf of the applicant, New England Power Company. Whoops, I won't do that. That's a loud chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, if you can just pull that a little bit closer, that'd be great.
Okay,
Thank you, Allison.
you're welcome. So the scope of work are the exploratory geotechnical soil borings that will be completed within several areas that are subject to the commission's review, including a 100-foot buffer zone and bordering vegetated wetland. But the soil borings themselves are typically considered a minor buffer zone activity. But since we do have wetland crossings proposed on the project, we are coming before you with a request for an order of conditions for the work. So they'll be using the temporary construction matting along the right-of-way where they need to cross bordering vegetated wetlands. So that's the number that you see on your Wetlands Protection Act form. It's approximately 1,700 square feet. This is a temporary impact. They remove them after the soil boring equipment has been able to enter the right-of-way and collect the soil information. The borings themselves are done with a small, like, geoprobe sort of piece of equipment. They can be tracked on a tracked piece of equipment or a wheeled piece of equipment. They'll also typically come onto the right-of-way with a pickup truck to escort the crew members as well as to bring water in, because the water is necessary in order to lubricate during the drilling process. After they've gotten to the required depth and they're able to take the sediment analysis that they need to, any of the bike pass that's basically been placed to the side during the drilling activities will be used to refill the hole. BSC will be out there on a weekly basis, just making sure that if there are any inadvertent soil disturbances associated with vehicle access and with the actual boring itself, that's stabilized within 7 to 14 days of occurrence. And everything is pretty much temporary in nature. The purpose of this work is to collect subsurface information, that since the company is looking to replace those structures in the near future. So it really just gives information to the engineers as far as how embedment depth and size of the structure that's going in, make sure it can take the overhead load. So that's kind of the purpose of this.
Okay, so if folks are not aware, this is taking place right next to Long Subaru, and you're looking at Long Subaru on the left, and then, of course, Mapfree's parking lot is actually in a wetland. But the transmission corridor for National Grid crosses through this area over to the substation that is on Worcester Road. The BSC and the utility companies have been before us before for work like this. The swamp matting, which is probably a new terminology for some of you, is actually very, very common practice. It is considered more minimally invasive for equipment to get out into. This is kind of a marshy area, to get out into the marshy area. So my question, because my several years here, soil boring, are they looking to take out the wooden posts and upgrade to more of a steel infrastructure? Is that eventually down the road?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of the trend. just
Okay,
because the
yeah, I'm
steel
seeing
is,
that in several
It
areas.
withstands the, decay and rot and
Yeah.
all those concerns that they deal with when they constantly need to go in to replace the wooden poles. The steel is much more resistant to those needs, and they last a lot longer.
Yeah, and plus there's a lot of birds in this area too, so they pick away at them, so. So how many boreholes are planned?
There's three existing structures. They'll be collecting boreholes.
Okay,
Typically one borehole per structure. There's always a potential for them to take a second if something kind of doesn't collect correctly with the first one.
Okay.
Say if they get like an anomaly, like a ledge or something, they might hit, move and take another one, but.
okay.
I'm
So-
seeing two. Why do I always keep seeing two?
Yeah, so there's another page I can show you.
How are we intending on accessing this area through,
203 and 204, 203s, they're coming, well, 204, they're gonna just come right off the public road.
okay,
203, they're gonna be coming in through the parking lot.
all right, so
I think you said that was
you've acquired permission from the owner?
They
Yeah.
have
Okay.
access rights, yeah.
I mean, it's, I wouldn't obviously have an issue, but, we
it's
always like to make
201,
sure
the third
folks know
one?
that.
The third one is, there's
207.
203, 204. We're collecting one at 166.
Yeah. And then there's 166, 157 that look like they
51.
travel up to the far north, probably northeastern corner of. So this area, folks, is Sutton Road. Just so you know, there's Sutton Nipmuc Pond is the 200 Sportsman Club.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's, now, Allison, in around Nipmuc Pond, Natural Heritage has an overlay there. Natural Heritage has an overlay there.
Yes, associated with the pond itself.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's for
a
the
pond.
pond itself. Okay, I just wanted to
It's a
in
pond.
case, you never know if these things get, in case these things get missed, I just want to bring that up. And then the far other one is just probably up in the woods towards Sutton, or towards Douglas, rather.
I don't know if I have a picture here of the construction mats. I don't know if, in case some of the commission members haven't seen this before. So these are, they're made out of timber, they're bolted together,
Yeah.
and you put them right on top. So it helps spread the weight of the equipment, so we don't cause ruts or as much compaction.
I've seen those.
Yep. They have them
I know what they were.
out on the highway right now, or they did. Just like that.
That's a swamp map.
Yeah.
Any questions I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Approximately how big are the soil borings?
About 4 to 6 inches in diameter.
Okay, so just a drilling machine, a small drilling machine goes out there. You probably heard through, countless agenda items, we do like spill kits to be available whenever equipment is in and around wetlands in our town. So.
Yeah, it's actually a New England Power Company requirement. All their construction equipment is required to be equipped with a spill kit.
Okay,
And that's another item on our checklist when BSC goes out to do our inspections, our environmental inspections. We confirm that they have spill kits, complete spill kits on site.
So
Yep.
assume that the drill rig will be power washed and cleaned initially, and there'll be potable, friendly lubrications when the drilling process is done. I think that is.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, they'll bring in, well, whether or not it's potable water, sometimes they get agreements with towns to get water from like the different municipal resources or like fire hydrants. Sometimes they get approval for that. Other times, otherwise they're just trucking in their own water from their own water source.
And the equipment will be power washed initially, so that it'll be cleaned as the drilling process is performed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so even the mats and the equipment, that's another thing that they have to sign off on, that it's basically arrives on site clean. The mats especially can be transporters of seeds and invasives, so yeah, that's something that they have to check off on too, the contractors do.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
so folks that don't know BSC is a fairly large firm. They handle all sorts of environmental projects and project management. So BSC's been before us before, and I know BSC pretty well. So how many, well, I guess, how long is this project going to last?
So this project itself runs through four towns. So,
Yep.
because it's a long linear project. But, we anticipate that borings in your town, 1 to 2 days per boring.
Okay.
So when they actually arrive, when they actually, schedule the work
Okay.
in your town, I don't expect them to be, with the matting and then the boring and then remove the matting, probably no more than a month of
Okay.
activity on the right-of-ways for you folks.
And one of your environmental scientists will be checking on this every week, or
Weekly is
Okay.
the norm that
All
we
right.
provide.
is it possible for us to get a copy of the report from each week that you're here, and then let us know when the project's done in town?
Absolutely.
I would probably just suggest that. And of course, any issues, you obviously need to just let us know. Is there going to be a particular staging area within your corridor here, where you're going to have all this equipment that it goes to every night? Or does the machine stay out there overnight and then it's moved to the next?
Typically, it's going to stay there overnight until they move it to the next drilling location.
Okay,
If they need to leave a piece of equipment in wetland on mats overnight, we typically require that they use secondary containment.
okay,
So something like a kiddie pool or a jet sled or something impermeable they could fit under basically I'm not a mechanic, but these guys, they know where to put
It's-
the pool,
yeah,
so it
'cause-
collects the drips if it's gonna.
yeah,
drip.
dripping of hydraulic fluids, hydraulic line goes, brake line goes, things of that nature, that's what we, we're very protective of that kind of, we don't want accidents like that, so.
If everything works out well, when do you anticipate starting the project?
I think this fall. From what I've heard, that they're trying to get everything together to get the bid package out this fall.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So will that be a separate notification to us? Because this one's just listed as a soil boring project.
Yes, that's what I meant. They want to start the
Okay.
soil borings this fall.
Okay,
I thought,
all
I'm sorry,
right.
I thought that's what the
So,
question was.
all right, so the actual project probably won't happen until next,
Couple
probably
years down
next
the
year.
road.
Okay. All right. So folks, and then will you be coming back before us to close out this NOI?
If you require an applicant to be present for the request for certificate of compliance, we can be here.
Okay, because, obviously we'll end, because it's a notice of intent, so it'll eventually need to be closed out off of the property. Otherwise, it's just left hanging there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, we'll plan on closing this.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't remember, I think you did in the same area maybe 4 years ago. There was replacement of a couple of poles that were being picked away at by birds. And I don't think we've closed that project out.
Was that an RDA? I think I came.
Did you come for that? It may have been an RDA, but, yeah, maybe just,
I know which project that is. That's. I
Yeah,
remember
we
that.
just kind of like to close the loops on these so that they're not hanging.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, if it was an RDA.
Yeah, as yeah.
Do you want anything from me on that?
No.
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 I think it was a
No.
S19 project. that we're
And
talking
if
about.
it's more than 3 years, I mean, it's expired anyway, so.
It was this line, they had to go, it was the
Yeah.
woodpecker damage on the wood poles, they had to do some emergency repairs.
And were you on that project too? I think you were.
Yeah.
Because I think I mentioned, I'm like, I know Heidi, I know Ingeborg, I know, and you were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. Okay, so commissioners, any specific questions before I open it up to all the people in the audience for public comment? All right. So because this is an NOI, I'm just going to open it up for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that has public comment? Any abutters? Seeing no abutters here for this project, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Okay, Commissioner Parent with the first, Commissioner Jewell with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sheeran?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Motion to issue standard orders of conditions on New England Power Company's soil boring transmission line project.
I'll make a motion that normal order of conditions for New England Power Company. Yeah.
All right. Commissioner Parent with the first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Sheeran with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sheeran?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. All right.
Thank you for your
Allison, thank you so much, and I'm sure Don will be in touch with you.
Okay.
All right? Thank you so much. And Don, just the requirement, special condition requirement of the reports that we talked about.
Yep.
We agreed to.
Visit
Yep.
reports.
Yeah, weekly. Yeah, that's fine. And you can email them, so.
Thank you, Allison.
All right. Thank you, Allison. Take care. Okay, I'm going to run through the next items. They are considered, they're going to be continued, and then we will get to the enforcement order from old business. So, action item 5A, cease and desist for 21 Wakefield Ave. This has been requested that it be continued to 9/25. Can I get a motion to continue action item 5A, cease and desist 21 Wakefield to 9/25?
Motion we,
Okay, Commissioner Jewell with the first, do we have a second?
Second?
Commissioner Camerata with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell?
yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Abstain.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. All right, 5B, action items, discussion of wetland restoration work for 4 Douglas Road. This is the LKQ last phase of their project. They have requested to continue till 9/11. Can we get a continuance motion on that, please?
I make a motion to continue the discussion of the wetland restoration work for 4 Douglas Road, Old Douglas Road.
Okay, so Commissioner Sharon with the first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Parent with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. Requests for a certificate of compliance for 47 Colonial Road. This is the Chanette property, requested to continue to 9/25. I need a motion for continuance, please.
I'll make a motion to continue 47 Colonial Road till 9/25.
Okay, Commissioner Sharon with the first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Parent with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. And last action item 5D is 6 Black Point Road, looking for a certificate of compliance. This is the Mike Hopkins Black Point project, asking for a continuance until 10/23. And get a motion on that, please.
I'll make a motion to continue 6 Black Point Road until 10/23.
Okay, Commissioner Sharon with the first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Parent with the second. Roll call, Commissioner Jewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Camerata?
Yes.
Commissioner Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. All action items have been continued by their respective folks. So back to missed item, old business. 2C, this is the enforcement order for 67 Colonial Road. And could we have Mr. Poole, Stephen Poole, come forward, please? How are you, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank, oh, thank you. Oh.
So Steve Poole from Lakeview Engineering. Here on behalf of Mr. Arnold, the property owner at 67 Colonial Road.
Mr. Poole, if you could just speak in that microphone so we can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, the acoustics in here are tough. My
They are.
hearing aids,
They
everything
are.
just echoes. So, at the last meeting, we talked about some of the issues, and you asked us to come up with a proposal to resolve them. So that's what you have in front of you now. And the first one was, with regard to the length of the wall. And, we noted that we're about 23 feet longer than what was approved by the commission originally. So what we're proposing, what the owner would like to do is maintain the wall as it exists today. And we're proposing that we would remove the pea stone and other unsuitable fill behind the wall, fill that area up with organic material, mulch it, and then put a series of plants on, which is just a rough sketch. But we're talking about putting a maple tree in that area, and then roughly 24 shrubs, those high bush blueberries, chokeberries, winterberry, any other type of shrub that, would provide a habitat for wildlife in the summer and in the winter. And we're open to any suggestions the commission has with regards to the types of shrubs. As I say, based on the spread area or the various shrubs, I came up with 24. And Scott Morrison from Ecotech came up with the suggestions of the various types. But again, we're open to suggestions from the commission there. So we feel that would provide, keep the bank stabilized, provide wildlife habitat where the existing or the pre-existing bank had very little to no wildlife habitat, very little vegetation. So we think there's an improvement from that point of view. The wall does stabilize the bank, and it would eliminate the need to just redisturb that whole area, taking out that section of the wall. So
I can't go along with anything that doesn't take some of the wall.
I can't hear you.
I can't go along with anything that some of the
sorry.
wall gets, unless some of the wall gets taken out, I can't go along with it.
You what? We really can't hear you, Robin. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, unless some of the wall gets taken out, I can't go along with it.
Okay.
It's just too egregious. Other people will be doing it. And I'm really sorry for you personally, because I know you're doing your job. You're
Well,
coming in at
that's-
the tail
I'm just
end.
making the recommendation.
Yeah, but
It's
I
up
just
to
think.
you to decide.
Yeah, I just think some of the wall has to come out. It's absolutely ghastly.
Any other thoughts?
The plantings are a step in the right direction. I appreciate that you want to add vegetation there. I think that's really important. It's so barren and bare. I just don't think that's awesome for the environment, but I agree with Robin that it was, 23 feet isn't 2 inches, right? That's
No.
very much not what was approved. It it went against everything that he was supposed to do. And I can't set easy unless some of the wall is removed as well, because it's just wrong. And if someone can build a wall 23 feet bigger than we
What are
were
we
able
here
to
for?
approve for somebody else,
What are
what's
we
to
here for?
stop anybody from doing that, right? Just because it's there, it shouldn't be there. They did it wrong, and they need to correct it.
I've been at many parties or get-togethers, and they ask, conservation, and what sometimes is nasty, people say, beg for forgiveness. Don't listen to the commission and do the thing, and this is a classic example of that.
Commissioner Parent, do you have comments?
Well, I was trying to recall, are we into the, and I know we are, have we
We're-
considered
we're in-
Chapter 91?
We're in floodplain.
Right, so,
I've requested, even hysterically,
yeah,
jumping up and down.
Well, with regard to
To
the
talk
Chapter
to
91, Scott
91.
Morrison did speak to DEP,
Yeah?
and they said as long as we're above the normal high water level, the Chapter 91 does not apply.
But, Mr. Poole, can you pull that wall photo back up? Yep, that one. The best way to always know the mean annual high water mark, and I explained this to Scott, and Scott knows this through and through because he's a wetland scientist, is to look at the staining on where the water, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down. Magnesium, all the other elements that are with iron, that are all within the water will come, it goes up and down with the water level.
Right.
And if you look at this wall, take a look at that photograph up there. You can clearly see that this is this is sitting in floodplain. And I mean, I know that there was an original plan, and that's one of the reasons why we're here, is the original plan called for something like this without a wall at the water. And it was supposed to be naturalized. And I mean, I know that we're kind of coming back to the naturalized piece, but what we're not really coming together on is that I feel that this wall needs to be a Chapter 91 filing. And I'll be honest with you, it needs to be an actual filing for this project. The way that it is should come before us, and we should review it and look at it. But with it being a enforcement issue, and somebody just ended up even said to me in a hearing, I didn't like the other design, and this is what I did, and this is what I wanted, it's a much better design. Quote.
Well,
And I honestly I appreciate the vegetation piece here. This is much better than like the 8 plants that we got the last time. But it doesn't account for the wall impeding on floodplain. And that's one of the biggest problems that I have. Not to mention, there was a little bit of BVW, some vegetation that's been wiped out of here. But it's more of a disturbance of bank has occurred here. And that is, even if this wasn't Chapter 91, 10% of a bank here, more than 10% has been altered without this board's approval and without the state's real approval on it. So the thing is we need Mr. Arnold to really understand that. And I mean, I keep driving this home with you and with Scott, and, and I am really in the same ballpark of part of this, and you already said that the wall is 23 feet longer than what it should have been. So if that's the case, and I'm looking at this project, why do we still have this here? And why isn't that part potentially coming down? If you're going to put the wall on the other side, at least on this side, the water has a place to go. And that's the whole process of this, is that its floodplain is being blocked. And if you're going to disturb this area of the floodplain, you got to do what the state terms as compensatory mitigation.
I understand.
And I'm really in the firm belief that this here, maybe it can be designed so that that top tier stays, but water needs to be able to go somewhere. And right now, you can see right across that entire wall, the water is coming up, but it can't go up the bank like it used to. And looking at GIS, this wall really is in the floodplain under FEMA flood maps. So we got to figure out how we're going to do this. And adding in plants here allows percolation, which is great, and vegetation to come back, and birds, and it ties into the habitat piece of the Wetlands Protection Act, of the 8 interests of the act, is habitat protection. But it doesn't necessarily aid in a body of water's ability to do what it naturally should be able to do. And that's when it needs to flood, it needs to flood. And I don't know how much easier I can explain that. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I disagree with you about the Chapter 91. We went out and we took detailed elevations along the toe of the wall. We looked at the normal lake elevation, which is 478. We took elevations at the toe of the wall at 478.9, so that we're above the normal lake level. The ordinary high water, as determined on other Chapter 91 files, was 478.8, so we're literally this high above normal or ordinary high water levels. You know, as you can go out there today, you know, all summer long, the water's been very high. You obviously have splash over and whatnot, but that wall is not.
It wouldn't create a line.
It's not in Chapter 91 jurisdiction according to DEP, based on those elevations that we told them. So that's one issue. The floodplain issue, as I noted further on, we provide compensatory, or we will provide compensatory storage on the opposite side of the property, which also.
That's not, no,
It's allowed by, it's compensatory storage in the same general area and the same waterway.
okay, but the fact of the matter is we've got an applicant that went and did what they wanted, did a violation, and now on the opposite side, where it's right now, it's just a sand beach. We want to upset another area? No.
Because we can dig out.
No,
We're
no,
talking
we're
a
talking
very
about
small-
disrupting another area. That's not, no. In my opinion, and I'm one person on this board, we can't go and start, why are we upsetting a stable system on the opposite side in order to compensate for, I wanted to do what I wanted to do on the other side? There needs to be, I'm sorry, but there needs to be reparations for this.
Joe,
And,
Again, I would disagree with you on that.
I mean, we can respectfully disagree, but I'm not new to this, I'm not new to this realm of what I do here. I don't just sit here and say, you know what, you did that and I think you're a bad person. I get the science because I have a background in it, and I get the regulations because I work in it. And I know what was wrong, what's been done is wrong.
But Joey, where I agree, what's your last name? Poole? Mr. Poole?
I'm sorry?
Your last name is Poole? What's your last name?
Poole.
Stephen
Yeah.
Poole.
But where, I just would like us, I agree with you, having, you know, DEP, Chapter 91, but why can't we just stick to what our jurisdiction is right now? I feel like I'm in a courtroom with hearsay, without the witness here. If he's telling me that DEP has approved of this, this, and this, why am I going to disagree with him? But I'd like to stick to what Mr. Arnold did, completely contrary to the original thing. Let's stick to that here, let's stick to that now. What percentage of the wall should come out to make this reasonable for the floodplain? And this is, I just think a lot of this, great, beautiful planting, but unless we take out of the wall, unless we have a specific thing that will rectify what was done, and maybe it doesn't have to be the whole 23 feet, I mean, and then I'm not the one that would do those calculations, Joey and.
No, I mean, none of us should
But,
be doing those kinds of
What
calculations.
needs to come out of the wall that we could say to this gentleman here and tonight, so maybe he could go back to Mr. Arnold and say, this is what's got to happen, and who knows? Maybe we could actually close the chapter or close this book in the next month if he was willing to do that. But this is our jurisdiction. Let's forget DEP for tonight.
Additionally, don't lose sight of the wall is 4 feet higher than it was supposed to
That
be
too.
also.
Yeah.
It's
2
not,
feet, 2 feet.
it's not only longer, it's higher. It was supposed to be
have a
4
great
feet.
wall of
Well, it was,
China.
originally was proposed at 4, it ended up at 6.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was.
That's okay.
So also, if we're looking at plantings, why isn't one cap of those coming down so that any kind of fowl or muskrat, any kind of habitat that's in that really nice, almost pristine cove there, can migrate? You know, I mean, if we've got a violation also on that, why isn't that coming down? Why isn't one
So
cap,
the violation.
why isn't one cap of that coming down? If it's 2 feet higher than what it should be, why is that not coming down?
Let me ask you this question. The wall was proposed at 4 feet. It was built at 6. What if it was built at 10? Does that have any impact on wetland protection?
It doesn't,
2
if,
feet higher, I understand it was proposed at 4, but it has no impact
I,
at 6 feet.
I would say that an argument could be made that it definitely impacts wildlife.
It impacts what?
It can impact wildlife, and an argument can be made that it can impact wildlife, and that's an interest of the act that we protect. And habitat,
Ecotech looked at the habitat of the bank and said basically there is no habitat. It's
But
just-
truly, if the gentleman wanted to make the wall higher, then he should have come and said, I'd
I
like to
totally-
change my plans and make the wall
the
higher.
the
I totally
entire
agree.
project in
That's what
itself.
he was supposed to do, but he didn't.
But if we could take all of this in consideration and have Joey figure out what will make it right with getting the wall decreased, what will come close, whether it's high, whether it's, so we can deal with this tonight. Like, you're right, maybe,
mean,
this is
there-
what, okay, it's just contrary what he said to us. So you're asking us, okay, so it's contrary, we recognize it, how much does it hurt the environment? This is stuff that, Joey, I wish we could answer tonight and bring it back to Arnold about how much wall could go down. I don't know about the height thing, that's up to you.
But I only have, I have one major concern to that, Rob, and that is, what exactly was stated by the state to the owner or whatever, and you just said the state was in agreement. What were they in agreement with, and what were all the details and discussions?
They were
Was it minutes
agreeing-
of the meeting or not taken, so?
No, Scott had a phone conversation with them and gave her the elevations that we took. And she said that if the ordinary high water is 478.8 and the
And
bottom of your wall
we
is
know.
478.9, you're
Leave
out of
this.
our jurisdiction.
Leave this.
There was a phone
that?
call
Yep,
between,
leave it.
DEP and Ecotech.
But if you read this communication, it says that without any plans that depict the proposed retaining wall in relation to the location, elevation, jurisdictional boundary, OHW, we cannot confirm whether the retaining wall will require Chapter 91 license. Mean annual flood elevation is not a Chapter 91 jurisdictional boundary. That's because it lies with FEMA. If you would like to submit plans, so it's asking if you'd like to submit plans or proposed retaining wall along with the length, site, all the cross-sectional, everything is required, the staff will review it. So that email right there tells me that nothing got submitted there. And someone just either had a phone call, or just sent this email. So the homework that was asked to be done to help rectify the situation so that the state can look at a plan and say, geez, like, all right, you know what, you need to file 91. It says it right here in the email, that nothing was sent to them for them to see it, where the wall's at, and anything.
All right.
And where we're at now, and honestly,
Request something in writing from DEP with regard to Chapter 91.
in which DEP, and I work with DEP, will not put anything definitive in writing. They will always write in a way, or they will not respond in a way that could be construed as a decision. Ever. But what I asked several times now is send the plans over to Chapter 91 Waterways and see what they have to say. And this email right here from the program says that without plans and everything else for that wall, without any plans, nothing, we can't tell you whether you should file or not. So plans never got sent over there for them to actually say, you know what, we recommend you do this. But I'm going to tell you right now, where we're at with this, because we keep going around in circles, I really feel like we should do like we do with any of our other projects. We've asked an applicant and we've asked a violator to attain specialists. He has. We should probably consider a third-party reviewer to look at this, and then they can talk, they can figure stuff out, and I think a third party needs to be involved here and review this and make a recommendation and work with you. A wetland professional works with Scott and works with you and can advise the board on you're making the right decision or however this needs to be mediated. But I think a third-party reviewer, and we usually use Ecosystem Solutions. I think that a third-party reviewer at this point is to be brought in and review it and say, you know what, Concom, you're right here or you're wrong here. You know what, Mr. Poole and Mr. Morrison, you're right here, you're wrong here. And the third-party person is kind of the pendulum here. I mean, I don't know how the board feels about that, but that's an option.
I agree with that to a point, but why did you say, no, because I don't think I was on the board then. This is a long time, because I've been on the board for a while.
Yeah.
5 years, okay? Why is it you wanted the 23 feet less?
What's that?
Why did you want why did we say the 23 feet less? I mean, what was the reasoning behind that? So, where I think it'd be fair, I just like to see this come to an end. So, the third party is a cost for Mr. Arnold. If we could, under what you had originally said you're thinking, is to go back to him and, say,
Well-
hey, like my thing, it's got, some of the walls just has to come down. I honestly think we're just spinning our wheels. Either one, get the third party, or two, make a decision tonight on what we're gonna ask him to do that's reasonable.
I would think, Mr. Poole, that telephone communication, that normally protocols have a tele-memorandum when statements are made and confirmed. And I would think that there must be some type of tele-memorandum stating that what their status was of that. And you said that the state has said they've approved it, so there must be some type of documentation for you to utilize, maybe for your benefit.
Okay, I know, this whole project was screwed up from day one. So we'll try and get you some, in writing, some of the issues, responses to what we've talked about tonight, why we agree or disagree.
What do we recommend?
I just want to add that, so my hope with this project was that you would consider that whole left side from the stairs going up from the lake would be removed back to that first tier. That little inlet that goes in there is very, if you go in, there's a lot of turtles in that area.
It's very
Okay?
productive.
It's a very productive little area in there. And so if you could have returned that area, this area that we're looking at right here, if you could have taken that out and sort of restored it to something of a breeding ground where, what you already have further up that line.
Plant some buttonbush and
Something-
get some facultative, obligate rather, plants in there.
Talking
And
about that side?
that side. And if the lake happens to come up, like I had mentioned earlier, it's got a place to do its thing. But we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks, and those are what, 3 feet wide? About approximately 3 feet wide?
But that
Versa block.
side,
I don't think he hears you.
But I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 blocks, and they're about what, 3 feet wide? How wide are those blocks?
how wide are they?
How wide? About 3 feet?
Those are 4-footers.
Okay, so we got 4 times, there's 20 feet right there. That, what we're looking for to have come out and give the lake back its storage, at least bring back some sort of habitat, plant, I'm still this still needs to happen, but buttonbush and plethora or what have you needs to go back in this area to help restore this area. And, to keep having you come before us, Scott come before us with almost the same exact go-around, it's either consider this option or we're going to look for a third party to get involved here and have we recommend Ecosystem Solutions because they've been doing work with our town for a while. Come in here and review the whole thing soup to nuts and figure out a path forward.
And if you go
But I-
back and look at the original pictures before any of this happened, that tells a big story that is kind of getting missed, right? The original state of what that property looked like before this happened and what it did for the lake. And then people pulled a few rocks out of the lake to put at the base of the wall to kind of appease us, and there's wood. But if you look at the original photos, you can see what was taken away from the lake. And I think that's an important piece to remember.
Taken away from the bank, you mean?
Yes. So, even when you speak to DEP and you ask them your questions, they need to see what it was. They need to understand what has happened. They have to see the whole picture, not just a little piece of answering your argument to say that it's okay.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
not
in the
okay.
that's what the
bottom line,
email was.
It's not okay because there's rules, and rules are made for a reason, and everyone on Webster Lake has to follow them. So this gentleman isn't special. He's not following the rules, number one. But number two, what has he done to this property to harm it? And to the wildlife, and to the turtles. And it's a whole little cove there, and you're absolutely right, Richard. It's a really productive area that is cheated because of that. It's just...
It's impeding, if you look at the 8 interests of the act, which we are charged with upholding, at least 2 key ones are flood capacity and storage, wildlife habitat protection. Those are just 2 key components here. So, Mr. Poole, I'm going to appeal to you, as the commission has mentioned here. I would consider taking this part of the wall out and having it go back to a bank the way it was, and that way the lake has capacity for storage, or we go the route of bringing in a third-party reviewer, which your client rather, would end up having to pay to review everything. And could we end up at the same place? And at some point, if we can't get anywhere with this, we're going to end up having to consider another option of some type of another enforcement order of it needs to happen. And that's what we're trying to mitigate here. We're trying to work with Mr. Arnold, even though this was a serious offense. It's not even, it's rules, but it's laws that were not abided by. A wall like this requires an NOI, not an RDA. But I'm telling you, I stand firm on my belief that looking at the staining there, from median to high water mark, this does sit some number of feet into the floodplain. And if you're disturbing floodplain, that's a big issue. So those are the options here.
So how much of this area are you requesting that he remove of this wall?
I'm sorry?
How much of exactly what are you saying, so Mr. Poole understands how much of this wall is going out, should go out?
Well, like I mentioned, those are 2 feet tall, about 4 feet wide. That gives you 20 feet right there, or the 23 feet that he's saying that it was longer. And if you keep that other tier there, so that stays intact, let the front go natural, pop in some, like I said, like button bush would be perfect there.
I'll discuss that with him.
And discuss it, And that is, I mean, you've heard it from several commissioners here, that is really what would be the easy option here.
So that would be like, how many of those? 3? Because those are huge. Like 3 or 4 of those going, and three up?
4 by 2, 4 foot by 2 foot depth.
There's five across, and there's 5 across, and they're about 4 feet wide. That's 20 feet. Take them all out.
Yeah, so that's 5 across and 3 up. Okay, good. I would be comfortable with that.
Okay.
Not happy,
I
but comfortable.
will take a look at that. I'll talk that over with Scott and Mr. Arnold, and we'll take a serious look at that.
All right, there's this option, or we recommend bringing in ecosystems and have a third-party independent reviewer that will look at this and talk, of one environmental professional to another.
There's a straight-on picture of that area right there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more than 5.
So it's a little bit more than 5, so that could be your 23 feet right there.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Okay.
7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's like 7.5 blocks
Okay,
7.5 blocks for,
yeah.
on that left side. So the length of that wall is 7.5. I've just got a picture here.
oh, okay.
And I,
This is a little,
Yeah,
we're
right.
missing some of it.
and I looked into those kind of walls for my property. I know it looks horrible. I'm not saying it's easy to get out, but it's not that bad like if it was cement and stone, which is what I'm getting. So,
But there's a difference
So
of
what you're
doing it
talking about there is to remove the wall at the lake
at the lake on this side.
and keep a wall at that back.
The back, because that's in an area that would be at the top of the bank. And this would provide the storage that we're looking for to return. And if you popped in a few, like I said, buttonbush, some water-loving plants in there, it would get that system going back in there that's been damaged, Yeah.
Okay.
So that's an op,
Thought, we honestly were looking more at the area where the wall was extended without thinking about that. But I'll
Well,
take a look at that.
this is the area that it really got extended at. If you say that it's 23 feet longer, here's your 23 feet. Rather than dismantle what's on the other side, which I still think that should come down 1 cap so that it's the 4 feet it should be, in addition to getting this out of here, everything, we would all be in a good place.
Okay.
You're hearing it here now.
Would have to maintain that
Yeah,
some
you'd-
blocks beside the stairs just to hold that together, but, yeah, let us take
It's
a
something to look at, but we're moving in the right direction. Otherwise, if we hit a dead end on this, we're going to have to look at a third party coming in here and saying, look, this, you're right, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're right, and be the mediator.
Okay.
Okay?
and Mr. Poole, this is a community discussion. I mean, a lot of people do speak about this and how it wasn't supposed to be this way. There is somewhat of a PR here too, as well as environment, so.
Mr. Poole, thank you very much.
We'll see if we can come
We
up with another
understand it's
option.
not your fault.
Yeah, and that's the thing, yeah, I mean,
Understand
you know.
that, you're not, you didn't design this, you didn't do any of
Yeah.
this. You're just trying to do what you're supposed to do,
Right,
but,
exactly.
so it's
I
not-
did laugh when I saw the original plan, though.
Yeah. Did you go like this? Oh, geez.
And I do like those plantings.
All right, well, that was a
Yeah.
good thought.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Get those
Didn't look
out
at that part.
I was
when we're there.
hoping you would come up with that.
Yeah, if we can maintain that second wall, it keeps the patio together, I'm sure it's one of the
Yeah.
things.
You
He's-
want to control that erosion, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm good with the other side. We probably would have approved something like that anyways, probably a little further back, but
If the permitting process was done, and that's the big part, like, Commissioner Parent's saying.
Okay.
It would have been permittable in some way, just pushed
That'll take
back.
care of everything. That would be great.
Just push to Mr. Arnold, it would be over. just it would be
The question is,
over.
That's an important thing.
what's he gonna do with those blocks on his other project?
Oh, my God, I can't.
We won't talk, no, anyway. All right, so is 9:11 or would you like 9:25?
Be realistic.
Go to 9:25,
Yeah.
and we may go, I'm not going to be in town that week,
Okay,
but Scott might be able to make it, or we could go into October.
okay,
It may take a while anyway. So-
yes,
But yeah, definitely
Okay.
go to 9:25, that would be.
all right.
great.
Folks,
We'll
can I?
request beyond that if we have to.
Absolutely. All right, thank you very much. Folks, can we get a motion to continue old business number 2C, the 67 Colonial Road enforcement situation, to 9:25?
I make a motion to continue 67 Colonial Road to 9:25.
All right, first is Commissioner Sheeran. Do we have a second?
I second,
Commissioner Jewell with the second, and roll call, Commissioner Jewell,
yes.
Commissioner Camerata,
Yes.
Commissioner Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Sheeran,
Yes.
Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good night, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Have a good vacation.
Thanks, yeah. All right, folks, we moved through a lot of stuff. Thank you very much. So just a couple things left here. Draft meeting minutes for August 7th, they were sent with the meeting materials. Any discussion, any issues with the meeting minutes? Have we all had a chance to review them?
Didn't read them. Sorry, I was on vacation.
It's okay, it's all right, it happens. Do we have a motion on the meeting minutes?
If there's enough people, I'll make a motion that we approve those meeting minutes
Okay.
as written.
I second,
Okay, so Commissioner Parent with the first, Commissioner Jewell with the second, and a roll call, Commissioner Jewell,
yes.
Commissioner Camerata,
Yes.
Commissioner Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Sheeran,
Abstain.
and Commissioner Wigglesworth is a yes. So we've got one abstention of Commissioner Sheeran. Next up, staff report, please.
I actually don't really have anything. I just want to remind all the commission members that there is a meeting Wednesday night, August 30th, which is a week from this Wednesday for the school. I did get word right before I came up here that we are supposed to, I should have plans in my inbox by the time I get back downstairs tonight. So hopefully we'll see some new updated plans in regards to the school project, which will need to be reviewed before next Wednesday, obviously.
They can transmit it to
okay.
us electronically, or do we come down here and look at it beforehand so we can be a little organized?
So you will end up getting a meeting link, just like I sent you for tonight's meeting, with all of the information for the school project, the previous plans, and any additional new ones that I spoke with the director of the project right before I came up. He supposedly has almost a completed set with all the changes and different things. So I'll send it that way. And then if you feel like you want to come and see the paper copies, you're more than welcome to just make sure that I'm going to be in the office or around, and I can leave them out for you, and you can look at them that way.
So this rookie says, thank you, Dot.
That all?
I have a question. Is there anything out there right now, so if I wanted to go out and walk that property, is there like any restrictions for me, like anything going on that wouldn't allow me to do it?
That's a public property, you
I
can
know,
go on
but
it.
there's no construction or anything. I mean, I could walk that pathway out to the field.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
It's still all open and stuff?
When you enter the high school site, you will see that there is construction going on. It's just because they had to get the modular modular classrooms in there, as we had seen in the previous meeting. So don't be surprised if you see some road work and all that stuff going on there. I would recommend parking at the back of the high school or over near the middle school. Don't go through the main entrance of the high school, because that's where it's all torn up and there's heavy equipment there right now.
Okay, so I'm
And-
used to going in and going over to the gym.
Yep. Don't go that way. Go the back way by the middle school, and it will take you to the gym.
Okay.
Okay?
So Rich, I kind of just just gave it a quick drive-through when we had the torrential rain.
Yeah.
And I was kind of impressed with
All right.
drainage, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, we can't talk about it because we don't have it on the agenda tonight, so, but yeah, no, open meeting law is
We get in
very
trouble.
specific. But, anyway, we'll get to it. Keep that note. So, anything else in the staff report?
Nothing else?
Okay, all right, so the next meeting for us, August 30th, Wednesday, here, Board of Selectmen's room for the high school project. So with that, can I get a motion for adjournment at 8:58, please?
I make a motion for adjournment at 8:58.
Okay, Commissioner Sharon with the first, we have a second. Commissioner Camerata with the second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.